Andrew Wilson and Muslim debater Daniel Hukikachu collide in Nashville, Tennessee this November 15th and 16th at DEBATECON 6 on whether or not Christian or Islamic values are better for society. You don't want to miss it. Grab your tickets by clicking on this link right now so you don't miss out on this epic debate conference featuring that debate and many others. Hey everybody, tonight we're debating, does God exist? And we're starting right now with Wi-Fi Gospel's opening statement. Thanks for being with us. Wi-Fi Gospel, the floor is all yours.
All right. Thank you, James, for setting this up. Thank you, Danny, for being here. So my entire argument tonight relies on the statement that knowledge is possible. This is a second-order knowledge claim, a claim or assertion about knowledge. When I say knowledge is possible, I'm not talking about probability or potential. What I'm saying is that the very act of reasoning, asserting, or denying anything presupposes that knowledge actually exists, that there is at least one true belief that can be justified. I'm not saying that as an atheist or an agnostic, one cannot know something at the first order. For example, we all know that we are watching a debate or participating in one as far as me and Danny go. Now that what kind of knowledge that is or what justifies our knowledge here can all be debated and talked about, but that is not the issue tonight. My question and concern is not about knowing particular propositions, but about knowledge in general and how it is possible to ground and justify the existence of knowledge, which is a second-order issue. The issue is that any assertions about the existence of knowledge at the first order will inevitably be a second-order statement that necessitates that knowledge exists at the first order. Therefore, our second-order statements about knowledge can only be justified if we first provide justification for the existence of knowledge in general at the first order. I'm asking a second-order question. Think about it like this. Saying knowledge exists is a first-order claim. It's a basic statement about reality. You're not talking about knowledge. You're simply saying that knowledge is real. Now, when you start to talk about that claim, for example, when you ask, how do we know that knowledge exists? You've moved up a level. That becomes a second-order claim, a statement about the first order. The issue is that anytime we try to prove that knowledge exists, we're stuck talking about it from this second level or second order. Second-order knowledge claims are contingent on the first order. In other words, when trying to justify one, we use two, but two assumes one. You can't justify something, X, by referring to something else, Y, that already assumes X, namely the thing that you're trying to justify. That's why if we rely on ourselves, we can never truly establish that knowledge is possible. This is the first step of the argument. The first step eliminates atheism as a viable worldview. Agnosticism is simply the allowance of either atheism or theism, and if atheism is eliminated, then agnosticism is also not viable. I only mentioned agnosticism to combat inevitable objections, but it's simple. If one option is eliminated from agnosticism, then agnosticism is eliminated as well. This leaves us with theism. We can end the argument there. Why? If only two options exist, and they're atheism and atheism is eliminated, you have no other option. If Danny is able to escape this problem, there is no need for me to explain how theism solves this problem. If Danny has a solution that doesn't include God, my entire argument fails. If Danny is not able to escape the problem, there is also no need for me to explain how theism solves the problem. If neither atheism or theism can solve this problem, then every word we speak would be meaningless. And obviously this isn't true. So one of these options must be true. And if we know that one option is false, then by necessity, the other option must be true. Now, if there truly exists an all-knowing, self-existent God who created us in his image and has revealed truth to us, wouldn't that immediately solve this dilemma? Think about it. The entire problem rests on the fact that man, left to himself, can't justify knowledge without already assuming it. We're finite, limited, and dependent creatures trying to establish an ultimate foundation using tools that are themselves in question. But if God exists, a God who is the source of all knowledge, whose very nature defines truth, logic, morality, then knowledge is no longer something we have to construct from the ground up. It's something that flows down from the top. In other words, knowledge becomes possible because the God who knows all things has chosen to make himself known. He reveals himself through creation, through our rational and moral nature. And because his nature is unchanging and perfectly truthful, what he reveals provides an objective and trustworthy foundation for human knowledge. That means that when we reason, when we discover, when we affirm truth, we're not operating independently. We're participating in the very order God established. Our minds correspond to reality because both were created by the same rational God. So revelation doesn't just answer the problem. It makes knowledge possible in the first place. Without it, we're left in an infinite regress of justifications, always one step removed from certainty. With it, the regress ends in the mind of God, the ultimate knower, whose revelation anchors all human thought. Now, before I end, I just want to go over something that I think helps people to understand the argument more. So usually, it depends who you are, but I do get the objection a lot. What happens if someone denies that knowledge is possible? They're stuck in a contradiction. In order to claim that something is true, you must know it. Otherwise, your claim holds no weight behind it. We can believe all sorts of things to be true, but that doesn't do anyone any good. So if someone says knowledge is impossible, do they know that knowledge is impossible? If yes, simple contradiction. You can't know that knowledge is impossible. And if you don't know if knowledge is possible, you're also stuck in a contradiction. To say I don't know if knowledge is possible assumes you know what knowledge would look like, you know what it means for something to be possible or impossible, and you know enough to make a judgment about your own state of knowing. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that opening. We are going to jump into Danny's opening in just a moment, but first, just a quick housekeeping note, folks. If you didn't know, DebateCon 6 is happening November 15th and 16th in Nashville, Tennessee. You don't want to miss it. It's going to have big debaters, including Andrew Wilson, Rachel Wilson, Daniel Hakikachu, Apostate Prophet, Dr. Richard Carrier, and many more. As you can see at the bottom right of your screen, this is going to be a true slobber knocker of a conference. Get your tickets at the link in the description box. I'm also going to pin them at the top of the live chat. And as you can see at the bottom right of your screen as well, use code 25live for a whopping 25% off of your ticket. This is just this weekend. This code is going away tomorrow. It won't work anymore tomorrow night. Grab your tickets now. With that, we're going to jump into the opening statement from Danny. Thanks for being with us. Danny, Phil Talk, first time here. Thrilled to have you. Floor is all yours.
Thanks for having me, James. So why, the debate prompt is, does God exist? And part of the issue is, people mean different things by God, but the Christian conception of God is one take on the nature of God. So what's a reason that anyone, for any kind of concept of God that, that we typically are talking about, what's a reason that we might have to think that, atheism is more plausible than thinking that there is a God or there are many gods? And I guess one argument against the existence of God or gods is just the low priors argument. It's kind of been developed by Paul Draper, maybe to some degree, Graham Oppie. But here's how I would defend the basic idea. So you have on one side we have a world where you have, let's say humanity, the universe, you have morality, whatever you want, right? On one side, you have God explaining all that stuff. On the other, there's a possible world you have all that stuff, and it's not explained by God. It's some other explanation or even no explanation. And I think the idea of a low priors argument is that saying that it's God, right, and especially if you add to the concept of God the Christian sort of attributes or the traditional monotheistic, omni attributes, right? It's a very particular type of explanation, and there's less of a possibility space where such a God would explain all the stuff that we want to explain in our world. Whereas atheism, right, has a broad set of things that could explain the data that we see or the stuff we see in our world. And so it just makes it such that theism is less probable than atheism. At least we have a low prior for it. And then when you add in the particular evidence, like, for example, my experience is that minds depend on central nervous systems, right? Intelligence depends on the body. And so I'm just, given that data, it actually makes the God hypothesis even less likely, right? Because here we have a God that doesn't depend on nature, whereas my priors are that minds or intelligence thinking heavily depends on nature. So when you start adding in all the evidence, right, I think the probability kind of dips further, right? This is an opening statement, so I'm not going to respond to everything that Wi-Fi has said, right? So maybe I can see the rest of the time, and hopefully we can discuss some of the stuff that he said as well. Thanks for, that's it. That's my opening.
You got it. Thank you very much. And folks, want to let you know as well, quick housekeeping thing. We just launched our Facebook page. Check out our new Facebook page. We'll be uploading clips from juicy debates. That Facebook is linked in the description box as well. That, gentlemen, thank you very much. The floor is all yours.
I appreciate the good debate etiquette, because I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to use your opening to do rebuttals, because it's so tempting because it's right there. So I appreciate that, but yeah, that's cool. I don't know if you want, I could probably try to get into your opening statement first, because I feel like we'll probably spend more time on mine. The low priors argument, is that that's what it's called?
Yeah.
You had mentioned possible worlds at the beginning, right?
Sure.
So these would presuppose things such as the laws of logic and knowledge, right?
Possible worlds presupposes the laws of logic, is what you're asking?
Yeah, so yeah.
Well, maybe a kind of modal logic at best, but we could say sure.
Yeah, so if they do presuppose these things, my question then would be, how do you know that the laws of logic are true?
Well, what turns on that question? Suppose I say, oh, that's a good question. I have to think about it. How does that help the theistic account?
Yeah, no, totally. That's definitely where my opening statement would come in. I'm just picking at your argument. If you don't want to do that, we don't have to. I'm fine with going to my opening statement. But I was just curious, because I do think that possible worlds, I forget the exact terminology, but all possible worlds rely on the law of non-contradiction. What makes a world possible is that there are no contradictions in it, right?
Yeah, so impossible worlds, at least logically speaking, there might be some kind of contradiction within the propositions that describe that sort of world, yeah. But I guess I don't see how questions about how do I know that A is A, or how do I know what constitutes a possible world versus an impossible world helps helps us answer the question, does God exist at all, right? To me, it would be on my view, it's like changing the subject to, what did you have for dinner last night?
Yeah, totally understandable. And I'm not using this as an argument for theism. I would just say that in order to make this low priors argument, it would require some work on your end for grounding those laws of logic. Would you have any contention with that?
Why would I need to do that work if the prompt is, does God exist?
Well, because you're making an argument against God.
Okay, but what is me having to give an account of, let's say, the law of explosion, right? Which is that from any contradiction you can infer anything, the principle of explosion, right? Okay, I mean, that's a hard question, right? But what does it have to do with God, whether God exists? I mean, to say that, oh, God can ground the principle of explosion, okay, but why would anyone accept that?
Yeah, no, totally understand. Totally get where you're coming from. The issue is I'm not using it as a way to prove God when I'm attacking your argument. I'm just saying that if we make arguments that require things like the law of non-contradiction, then we would have to obviously justify those things.
No, because you and I, no, I don't think so, because you and I accept those laws, right? So we start with, the point is that when you interpret someone, when you're analyzing an argument, there's a shared conceptual scheme, right? You and I don't disagree that A is not A, okay? And presumably you and I agree on a very standard logic. So if we start from that, okay, we can then, resolve disputes. I don't see why we would need to, I guess, figure out why should we accept a particular premise like, the law of non-contradiction.
Yeah, so if I granted you the law of non-contradiction from your paradigm, then you would be able to make this low priors argument. I agree. I'm just saying, if you're going to make the low priors argument, I'm not just going to grant you that. I'm
What
going
do you
to
mean
ask for
grant? What do you
justification
mean
for it.
grant?
Yeah, so when I say grant, it's kind of what you're saying, like coming to this middle ground where we both believe these things, so therefore we don't have to do the work of justifying them.
Look, that's not how people usually use the word grant. I could grant you the existence of God. I'm like, well, let's hypothetically think that God exists and then work our way for up. That's not what's going on. Is that you and I do agree, right, that there are no true contradictions, at least for the purposes of this conversation. Okay.
Okay,
So
so
yeah.
if I didn't agree, then you would have to justify it.
Well, if you think there are true contradictions that, then yeah, we'd probably, and I think, and then let's say you just bite the bullet and yeah, my view is contradictory, but it doesn't make it false, then we would have to get into it. It'd be like, it'd be like this. I want you to prove, Danny, that you and I are talking to each other, but we agree that we're talking to each other. Why, it's almost like we're changing the subject. Like the discussion is, well, if we agree that we're talking to each other, we agree on some basic stuff like A is A. And so now from there, right, can we infer who's right about whether God exists or not, or something like that?
Yeah, well, and I don't want to get too much caught up here because we'll probably get back into it in my opening statement. But what I'm saying is that we may agree that like the proposition is true that there are no true contradictions, right? But the way we get there is completely different, and that's what's in question.
Okay, but you see, you're saying that God is necessary for knowing those, but I have not heard any argument. Whereas I'm not even saying that to have those kind of laws, you need atheism, right? Now, if I said something like that, because what if I flipped it on you, right? If I said, in order to have logic, atheism must be true, you'd ask, why should I think that? And but you see, you're doing the same thing. You're doing just that, except with theism. You're saying that God is required for those laws, and now I just really haven't heard an argument for why anyone should accept that.
Right, and I specifically in my opening statement, I talked about knowledge, and there's a way to do it with the laws of logic as well, but I'm going to stick to knowledge because that was my opening statement. I'm just saying that if I was asking you those questions about your argument, you would have some work to do. I don't think we're going to agree there, so if you want to move on, we can.
Okay, well,
I'm sure we'll get right back into it.
Okay, I don't know the standard norms here, but the point is that you're making the claim that God is necessary for knowledge, and I don't see what. And maybe I missed it in your opening statement, but I don't think I heard any kind of reason for why an atheist should think that.
Okay, yeah, we'll get into that then. Before we do, I did kind of want to touch on the minds depend on nature thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying minds depend on nature.
Usually
when I
Yeah, go ahead.
Usually when I hear this, it seems to me that you're espousing some sort of like physicalism. Is that true?
No, it's not. No,
Well,
no.
when I say physicalism, what I understand it as, correct me if I'm wrong, is not that everything is material. That's one way of saying it, but that everything depends on material.
Well, that's one control of physicalism, that everything is physical or strongly depends on the physical, but that dependence relation is a very strong one. There's a loose one where, you believe, presumably you think that your soul, your mind exists, but like there's a reason why you protect the back of your neck, right, over your leg, right? Because, the idea is that around this area, if you mess with it, if there's any kind of blunt trauma, out goes your mentality, right? So there's a kind of loose sense of dependency there that I think might be compatible with dualism.
Well, when you say out goes your mentality, what did you mean by that?
You die.
Right, but death is not like nothingness, like it would be on your
Fine,
view.
fine. The point is that on your view, death is the separation of the soul, right, in the body. And so if you crush your hand, that doesn't cause the death, right? Whereas if you crush the back of your neck, your soul, on your view, of course, I don't think this, your soul,
Right.
Detaches. And so the point is that being alive in your sense actually does depend on the way that your body is, specifically something to do with your central nervous system.
It doesn't though, because like for example, there are people who are alive and yet they are not embodied in a physical sense.
No, but we're talking about, we're talking about death in the sense that I'm alive right now, you're alive right now, right? Now, can you die? Well, the answer is yes, okay? In the sense that you could either say that in the sense that your mind detaches from your body, fine. But then being alive then includes a kind of harmony between, or a connection between, the mind and the body on your view. And you need a central nervous system for that.
I wouldn't agree that on my view that's how
Okay,
I
so
would
did Jesus
describe
die on
life.
the cross?
Yes.
All right. Was it because, he was whipped?
Yeah, like he died when the spear went through him. He was dead,
No, no,
right?
no, no. No, the question was did he die because he was whipped?
Yes, there was a physical cause to his death. Is that if
No,
that's
no,
what
no,
you're
but
getting at?
that's not the question. The question is, did he
Okay.
die because he was whipped?
He was alive after he was whipped.
Yeah, but I'm not,
So, like,
I'm not asking that question. I'm asking, did he die because he was whipped? The answer is
no, not
no, right?
directly. Yeah.
Good. The
Okay.
answer is no. So then you keep on asking, what was the cause of death? And it's gonna be, the answer is gonna be, it's because something messed with his central nervous system. The lack of oxygen, the loss of blood, which I guess leads to lack of oxygen. And you have a whole story there that leads to something happened to his central nervous system to where his soul separated from his body. And so there is a
Right.
dependency there. The soul doesn't depend on embodiment, right? Based on the condition of like your fingernails or the condition of your leg, right? It doesn't.
Right, but the soul is still alive after it leaves the
You're
body.
equivocating on alive.
Okay.
You're just using a different sense of
I'm
alive.
just okay. I'm just trying to figure out how you're saying this is some form of physicalism.
I'm not saying it's a form of physicalism. I'm saying that
Okay.
even on your view, the mind, right, as human beings rely on their central nervous system to operate as human, right? Your intentionality heavily relies, okay, on the condition of your brain and your nerves more so than, the condition of your skin and your bones. Okay. So the idea is that there is a form of dependency on
Okay.
mind to body, right? And again, there's a reason why you protect your head over your toes.
Yeah, maybe I just misunderstood you. I can agree with you as long as you're not saying that the mind is ultimately dependent on the body. You're just saying it is in one sense.
Right. And
Right?
there's a sense
Okay.
in which you and I agree that if we were to have a baby, right? If we were to have a baby, we would hope that the brain and the central nervous system develops normally. Whereas if they have 6 fingers, it's fine, right? Not a big deal. Okay. The point is that there is a sense in which your mind depends on the brain as a human. I'm sorry, your mind depends on the brain or the central nervous system to have the human experience.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess when I took your original statement saying that mind depends on nature, I took it as you were saying it's only dependent upon nature.
No, you could interpret loosely, or I could see
Yeah.
why you took that interpretation, but no, what I'm saying is compatible with many versions of dualism. But
Okay.
the point is that there's a sense in which we do depend on our bodies to have the human experience, and other minds, right, animal minds have the same feature, and so that's data that supports the idea that maybe minds in general require some kind of body to live their normal life, right? And so it just makes the idea of a disembodied mind less probable to some degree.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I was gonna go the route of if you were saying that it was some form of physicalism, I was gonna ask you about determinism, but it doesn't seem like you're saying that, so I won't go there.
Yeah, well, I
Um,
don't. Yeah, okay. But do you want to go ahead and answer the question as to, I was asking for an argument for why anyone should think that God is necessary for knowledge.
yeah. So, would you agree then that knowledge is possible?
Yeah, I'm willing to listen to your argument. So go ahead.
Well, yeah. I just asked a question so we could get some
The questions are
clarification.
not arguments. I just want an argument.
Yeah, and I know the whole script here, so we don't
Yeah,
have to
and
do
I know,
that.
and I know your script too, right? Everyone knows the
You
precept
don't
script.
though. Oh,
Okay,
so
well, prove me
you've
wrong.
heard this you've
Let
heard
me
this
hear the
argument
argument.
before then?
I'm willing. I'd be very surprised if I hadn't heard this argument.
Were you listening during my opening statement?
I was, but I didn't hear any argument.
Oh, okay. So does an argument have to be in the form of formal logic?
No, it can be informal.
Okay. Does it have to be in the form of a syllogism?
By syllogism, you mean two premises and a conclusion?
Yeah. Does it have to be in the form of a syllogism?
Do you know what a syllogism is?
That's what you just said. What a syllogism is: two premises.
Maybe
and
you
a
cut
conclusion.
out. Maybe okay. No, they're arguments with more premises.
Okay. Well, are arguments with more premises not syllogistic or in a syllogism?
Do you know what a syllogism is?
A syllogism is premises and a conclusion.
Two premises and a conclusion.
It doesn't have to be two premises.
Why don't you, okay, well, just go read a book or something. You can figure that out for yourself. But go ahead. What's your point?
So my point is that I gave an argument in ordinary language in my opening statement.
I didn't hear any argument that was valid or close to being
open your
sound.
ears.
Okay, well, I'm willing to hear it now. So what's the argument?
Let's do a paraphrase of it if you can, for us Wi-Fi.
All right.
Or if you want, take longer if you want. That's okay.
Okay. So the reason why I asked if you would agree that knowledge is possible is very simple. We all believe that knowledge is possible. We have to.
So the first premise is that knowledge is possible?
I'm not giving you premises and a conclusion. I'm not.
Well, then you're not giving an argument. Just give me the argument.
That's
right.
So this is literally what I asked you, and why I asked these clarifying questions.
Okay, so ask your clarifying question.
Okay, in the same way that you wouldn't put an arbitrary standard on having to make arguments in formal logic.
No. You don't know what an argument is, so you can ask me what I mean by argument, right?
Well, I don't really care what you mean by argument. I'm telling you what's going to happen.
That's all. Well, you have to care because that's all I'm interested in, right? I'm only interested in an argument. I'm not interested in a monologue.
Okay. Can you give me a syllogism as to why I have to give you an argument in the form of a syllogism?
You don't have to do anything. You can leave.
No. I'm asking you, since you want to be so hyper specific on syllogisms.
Let's just go with whatever your paraphrase is, and Danny, let's just let him finish whatever it is that he's going to say.
All right.
Yep. So the argument is that knowledge is possible. If you deny this, you're stuck in a contradiction. So on atheism, right, you have two possibilities, atheism or theism. There is no other possibility. Either God exists or he doesn't. On the claim that God does not exist, you cannot justify the existence of knowledge, which leaves you saying that knowledge is impossible, which is a contradiction. Double negation elimination, right? You should be familiar with this. It is not A. All right? A or not A? Not A. Atheism is not A. So it's not A. Therefore, A. That's the argument.
Oh dear.
Atheism cannot justify the existence of knowledge.
Looks like your evidence for atheism, but we'll go ahead. You just had a premise that just begged the question, right? You said if there is no God, right? You gave a premise that if no God, you didn't give any premises?
No.
All right. So do arguments require premises?
No.
No, they don't. All right. So what do you mean by argument?
Well, just what I gave you earlier.
You don't have no clue what you're talking about.
Okay.
Right. You don't know what an argument is. And that's actually pretty standard for you don't know what an argument is.
Okay. So the reason I'm telling you this is because I'm not playing your game of giving you a syllogism when it's not needed.
Fine. You don't have to give me a syllogism. You just give me an argument.
Okay, I did.
Yeah, but you don't know what is an argument. What do you think I'm asking for?
An argument is a collection of words used to persuade somebody of the truth of a claim.
Oh, so arguments are just tools of persuasion?
Yeah, in order to know something.
In order to know, so arguments are required to know something? Is that what you're saying?
Do you want to quibble on what an argument is, or do you want to actually have a debate, Danny?
I'm asking for an argument. You're refusing, so I don't know what to do here.
No,
right?
you're being pedantic.
Claims. Look, here's why I'm not being pedantic, because the whole point of a debate is to give an argument. What arguments are collections of premises, right, by which you have some kind of inference rule that gets you to a conclusion, right? And so you don't know what that is, because when I pointed out that one of your premises begs the question, you said, I didn't give a premise, but if you give no premise, if there aren't any premises, there's nothing that you're giving me by which that anyone is committed to your conclusion.
Yeah, so you're asking for a logical argument, and my point is that the argument is a metalogical argument. It's what makes logic possible in the first place. What makes knowledge possible in the first place. That's what I'm arguing. You're caught up on syllogisms, and you still can't give me a syllogism as to why arguments have to be in the form of a syllogism.
Yeah, I don't think you know what a syllogism is or an argument.
That's
but
fine.
Fine. Do you know what you said? Metalogic, right? Metalogical. What is metalogic? Do you know what that is?
The study of logic itself.
No. Right.
Okay, what is it?
Just forgive me. I do want to just we can quiz each other on how many definitions we know But I think the crowd, to be fair, they are looking for like a debate on theism. This could also include, like, Danny, if you want to run an argument for taking the no position. Like if you say, hey, I don't think that there are any arguments from Wi-Fi, let me run the classic problem of evil or an inductive problem of evil. I just want to be sure that we do get to more of like the core of what people showed up for.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let me point this out. I don't know how many debates you've watched on Modern Day Debate, but what you're saying here is that nobody actually debates on this platform because nobody sits here and
not
gives
saying
out
that at all.
syllogisms.
No. There are people that give arguments all
I
the
have a
time. They might
feeling.
be informal. I'm not asking you to give me some kind of strict formal argument. I'm just asking for a set of premises by which maybe I could help you form them in the right way to where I'm committed to a conclusion that God exists, right? I don't need you to do this whole like you don't have to formalize it. You just got to give here's some facts by which if you accept, all right, then here you have the conclusion. Well, you gave me one, which was the conditional, if not God, then no knowledge. But that I was pointing out that if that's one of your premises, all right, if that's one of the facts that you're using to get us, to get me to accept that God is necessary for knowledge, it's begging the question.
No, you're begging the question when you ask me for a logical argument about the existence of logic.
Do you know what begging the question is?
Okay.
Yeah.
As fun as it is to quiz each other on the technical terms, I do want to. This could be an opportunity, like, Danny, if you want to give, like I said, an inductive or deductive argument for atheism.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that.
Well, to be fair, I'm just going to point because I was giving an argument. Danny's just being pedantic, and
I
I'm
need you
just
to
going to
summarize it. I need you to summarize it, Wi-Fi, though, like in 20 seconds. Just give us the bare bones.
All right. Knowledge is possible. Atheism cannot justify that statement. Therefore, atheism is false. The only other choice is theism. Therefore, theism is true.
Okay, so you said knowledge is possible. Atheists
Mhm.
can't account for that possibility, and then eventually gets you to God is necessary for knowledge. But you see, everyone take into account that one of the facts that he uses to build his argument is that atheists can't account for it. But that's exactly what he has to support, and that's what he's failed to support, right? You have given us no reason to think that atheists can't account for the possibility of knowledge. You've given us Zippo.
I've given you no reason. Okay. Let's go back because I'll just have to like read my opening statement again because obviously you weren't listening.
Yeah, I don't think anyone really understood your opening statement.
Okay. So, knowledge is possible or knowledge exists is a first order statement. But when I ask you, how do you know that knowledge exists? That's a second order question, right? And when you're making any assertions about the existence of knowledge at the first order, it'll inevitably be a second order statement. And your second order statement already assumes that first order knowledge exists. So therefore you're stuck in a circle and you cannot justify the existence of knowledge. That's on all atheistic
What does that have to do with
accounts.
God? What does that have to do with God?
You just asked me. You said you didn't provide any reason as to why atheists can't support or can't know that knowledge exists.
Yeah, what you just said had nothing to do with atheism.
Okay.
What you just said had nothing to do with atheism nor the existence of God. You just were talking about epistemology.
Can atheists use anything other than themselves to justify the existence of knowledge?
I'm waiting for the argument. Are you going to ask me questions? You want to change the subject?
I gave you the argument.
No,
I'm asking you rhetorical questions in order to move the argument forward so the audience doesn't go to sleep.
This is
for
something
you
that
asking
precepts don't
pedantic
know.
questions.
Precepts don't realize that if I'm unable to answer your question, it doesn't help your case.
All right, well, I'm asking you these questions, and well, the only reason I'm asking these questions is to move the conversation along.
Okay.
Look, I wanted to make a point that Danny doesn't actually understand presuppositionalism.
No
and
one
I think
does,
I've made that
including
point
yourself.
fine.
That
well, I'm
includes
glad you don't understand it. Thank you for
I'm glad
admitting
you
that.
don't understand it. No one does.
Well, I didn't say that. You just put words in my mouth.
Everyone can see it.
But what I can do is go into my old notes and actually pull up the syllogisms, and we can get into it if you want. It's just really funny that you actually don't even understand the questions
Look,
I'm asking.
and everyone can see you don't understand what an argument is.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Now I can show you how an argument is given. Okay. Right. I can give you premises. Okay. To which I think that if you accept, you're committed to my conclusion. Right. I can teach you how to argue if you want.
Yep.
Right.
But
So
you're assuming the laws of logic in order to do so, correct?
we both agree. That's something we agree. We also
No.
agree. Oh, we don't
No.
agree on the laws of logic?
No, I don't agree that you can just assume them and have them. I don't agree on that.
Okay, give me the argument for for the problem. Right?
So
Oh, I forgot you don't know what an argument is. Okay, so where do we go from here?
Do arguments require the laws of logic to be true, Danny?
Something like them, yeah. Inductive reasoning
Okay.
gets a little tricky.
Okay, so then how do we know that the laws of logic are true, Danny?
You see, to me, that question doesn't even make sense, and here's why. Okay,
Yeah, I know.
You're asking. This is why it doesn't make sense. Everybody, listen to his question. His question was, how justify, in other words, right, the things that are required to understand justification. But you see, to ask for justification for what makes up justification is a non-starter. This question doesn't make sense, right? Because you require the things, okay, the tools that build up justification to answer that question. You're asking a nonsense question.
Okay, so we can just assume the laws of logic are true.
That's not what I'm saying either.
So what are you saying then?
I'm saying that your question doesn't make sense, and I can explain it again to you. Right? You're asking justify justification, in other words. Okay,
No.
that's the simple way of understanding your question.
No.
Yeah. What do you think? You're talking about knowledge, right?
Well, for right this second, I just asked you, how do you know that the laws of logic, specifically, let's talk about the law of non-contradiction. How do you know that the law of non-contradiction is true?
Right. So the law of non-contradiction, these rules are what allow for the possibility of justification. They're prior, okay? They're required for it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense then to ask what's your justification? That's for anyone, by the way. That includes your position, okay?
Okay.
It doesn't make sense to ask anyone justification or the components of justification. It just is a nonsense question.
So God is required for anything to be justified. So therefore, you cannot ask me to justify the existence of God.
No, I'm saying it wouldn't make sense for me to ask you justify justification or justify logic.
Okay, so ultimately what you're asking me to do then is justify why all things are justified, which is God.
I'm not
right?
asking you to do that.
You're not asking me to justify the existence of God?
No, I'm asking you to understand that your question doesn't make sense.
Okay, so for the whole debate then, you're not asking me to justify the existence of God?
We can always push the rewind button. What we're talking about now is whether you asked a sensical question.
Right, and I'm saying if you're going to run with that line of argument, I can use the same line of argument for the existence of God. So are you willing to accept that?
Well, I want an argument for why it's analogous.
Well, very easily. You said the laws of logic are what's required in order to justify anything, correct?
The laws of logic are built into the notion of justification, yeah.
Okay. And I could then easily say that the existence of God is built in to what is required for justification in the first place. But we don't agree.
Whereas we agree that laws of logic are required to justify, we don't agree that God is required for justification.
Okay, so agreement is what makes things true?
No, the agreement, right, shows that we shouldn't waste our time debating things we agree. We should, if our contention is, it looks like our contention is that whether God is built into the idea or notion of justification. And that's, I don't know very many intelligent people that would even claim that, but why should anyone think that?
Well, because fundamentally we don't agree on the laws of logic.
Wait, why should anyone think that the idea that what justification is, that part of a component to that is an all-powerful, all-good, all-knowing, immaterial creator of the universe? That seems ridiculous.
Yeah, I know it seems ridiculous to you because you're an atheist. That makes sense.
Just go and give me the argument. Why should anyone think that?
Yeah, because justifications need to be true.
What does that even? Justification doesn't mean. So there's a difference between truth and validity, truth and justification. You could be justified in something false, right? So no, you're to say justification is true.
No, you can be justified in something false. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I'll give you an example. Suppose you go to a class, you sign up for a college class, and the professor teaches you that, I don't know, that Kant lived in the 16th century. Okay, now you're justified in believing that, but it's a false belief. Because
Right, but your justification itself has to actually be a justification.
justifications are justifications, very profound.
Right. Yeah, so it has to be true that your teacher told you that for that to be a justification, correct?
No, that's silly. That's silly. I just gave you a counterexample.
How?
Right, because look, when you take a class, you're justified in believing what the professor says, but sometimes they make mistakes, right? If a professor
All right, so-
let's say, misspeaks and says Kant was born in the 16th century, and then the students believe him, I don't blame them, and nor would you. Okay.
Okay.
They're justified.
Now, what if the teacher actually didn't say that? Would the student then still be justified?
It depends on how they got to that conclusion.
Okay, so if they said, my teacher said X, right? And that's the answer they gave the answer X. You said even if X is false, they would still be justified in giving that answer, right?
Yeah, if they're a competent authority, yeah, they would be justified.
Right, I agree. Now, if the teacher actually said Y, but they said, my teacher said X, that's why my answer is X, are they justified?
I mean, generally not, but there are exceptions. Maybe they misheard
Okay.
them.
So the justification must be true.
No, that doesn't. Gosh, you're so bad at this.
Okay.
It's crazy. Like,
Yeah,
no,
I'm
no,
so bad at this, but if I'm so bad, why did I just catch you?
you didn't catch me on anything. Look,
Okay.
again. Oh, look. Let me put it in Sunday school, since maybe you think of in terms of that. If you have church leaders in your church, right?
Sure.
Okay. Are they relevant authorities on Scripture? Is there anyone that you trust with Scripture?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if someone said that in the book of now you know the Bible pretty well, but like the point is that if one of your church leaders says in the book of Matthew there are 3,567 words, okay, and let's say they knew the Bible very, very well, you might be justified in believing them, okay, but it turns out that there's one more word than what they said, okay. You're not a dummy for believing them if they're an authority on the Bible. Okay.
Yeah, I get that.
Okay. So you
I
could be
completely
justified.
understood that.
The point is that
Yeah.
Do you know the Platonic?
You can
Go
be
ahead.
justified in something that is false.
Yes.
I
Okay.
get that, but that's not what I said. So you're arguing against something I didn't say.
Did you not say that justification is true?
No, justifications must be true. They must have actually been real in order for you to use it as a justification.
Everybody, I asked him, did you not say justification is true? And he said no.
No, I said justifications have to be true.
Okay, what does that even mean?
Right. Oh my! I explained it to you. Like, I don't understand why you don't get it. Look,
maybe someone in chat can explain it.
No, just listen. Open your ears. My teacher says X, right? And I say, my teacher said Y. Am I justified then when I give the answer Y on a test?
Let's say no. Okay. What does that show?
Okay. That means my justification is false.
You mean you don't have justification?
Okay.
Is that what you mean?
You're quibbling about words. You're pedantic.
No. Because look, it's like saying my is this false? Is this false?
It's not a justification.
Is this false? Isn't that weird to say that this is false? Is this true? No, there's a difference between truth and falsity and real and not real. And you just conflated them.
So if your justification is a proposition, are propositions true or false?
I'm fine to say propositions can either be true or false.
Okay. So then you can't use a proposition that is false as a justification in the sense that the proposition didn't actually happen. Like, if your teacher didn't actually say X, then you can't say my justification is X because my teacher said X. That's a false justification.
I don't know what you're trying to say, but if what you meant by justification must be true is that you have to have justification for what? What do you say?
I honestly don't even know. We went off on a tangent on a word I used because you're very pedantic. So,
well, you just don't know what you're talking about. You just don't know. You just don't know what you're talking about. It's fine.
That's why I caught you very easily.
Wait, is justification true or false, or is it either that you have it or not? Which one is it?
It's the same thing.
Oh, really? It's the same thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So what Are propositions the only sorts of things that can be true or false?
I don't know.
You don't know what you're talking about, right? So get to your point now.
Okay, so do you want to go through the argument? I don't even know how
I
we
haven't
got
really heard an
15
argument.
minutes.
The only sort of thing I've heard is that I heard a question begging argument. That's the only thing I heard. But maybe we could just shift it to I can give an argument against
Okay.
Christianity. I could give an
Yeah,
argument
but
against.
here's the problem. When you're making these arguments against Christianity, I'm just going to ask you to provide a justification for the preconditions for arguments.
But we already
you
went
haven't
over
done.
that. We already went
Yeah,
over
and
that.
you can't give any.
No, I explained to you why that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I explained to you why if you use that line of argument, I can use the same exact thing for God, and you said, well, I just don't agree, and I don't care that you don't agree. Your line of argument sucks.
No. You see, you're making we agree that part of justifying your views relies on something like a validity, a formal system, or a logic. Fine, we agree on that. But where
But
we
we
don't
don't.
agree, is that God is required to have justification, and you've given us no reason to think that God is required.
If what I mean by a law of logic and what you mean by a law of logic are completely different, do we agree?
Then do we agree on what?
On that a law of logic is required to justify something?
If we mean different things, then we're not disagreeing. We're talking past each other.
Okay.
You know what that
all right,
means?
So what do you mean by the laws of logic then?
Well, the way I understand that is, most people talk about the big three, but a lot of logicians don't even think of it that way. But that's fine. You're thinking of something like the law of identity, law of non-contradiction, excluded middle, a formal system. Do we agree if that's what we're talking about or no?
Yeah. Now what are they?
I just stated some of them.
Yeah, okay. What is the status of a law of logic? What is its ontology?
Well, I'm fine with a nominalist view, a Platonist view. It doesn't really matter for the purposes of this conversation.
It doesn't matter?
Yeah, it does not matter to whether God exists.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So ready? A law of logic is a created energy of God. Or sorry, yeah, a creation that replicates or represents the energies of God.
No, as far as whether we're a nominalist or Platonist, it doesn't matter. That's what I said.
Oh,
right.
So we're not talking about the same thing though, right?
Yes, I just gave you an account of what laws were, and you accepted it. So yes,
Okay,
we do
so
agree
if you believe in a Platonic form of a law of logic, and I believe that a law of logic is represents a created energy, or is a creation that represents the energies of God, are we talking about the same thing?
Yes, and here's why. You can agree on what something means, but disagree on the theory. So here's an example. We would agree with Socrates about the stuff that fills up rivers, lakes, and oceans is water. But we don't agree with Socrates that water is H2O. He doesn't even know what H2O is, okay? We wouldn't agree with Heraclitus, who thought that everything was fire. But we do agree on the meaning of water, okay? So no, yes, we can agree on the meaning.
Is the meaning of water and water itself different?
Yes.
Okay. So then if I say, I have a cup of water here, am I talking about the meaning or the thing?
The word has a meaning. You're referring to reality, though.
Okay. So what are you referring to when you say the law of non-contradiction in reality?
I'm not necessarily referring to anything. It doesn't matter.
So then
you don't even know. You don't even understand, right? The point is that you laugh. So let me explain why it was silly to laugh. The point is that it is a matter of. It's very contentious about whether propositions. That this is what laws are made of, supposedly. Whether propositions exist in a Platonic form, or whether they're or the Platonic realm, or in God's mind, or they don't exist at all. They just exist as statements, right? There's a lot of disagreement about that, right? I'm amenable to two views that are compatible with atheism, nominalism, or Platonism, and it's not like you have any defeaters to either of those views, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, what's your defeater for Platonism?
Well, it's not a defeater for Platonism.
Okay,
it's simply that.
I just said you don't have a defeater.
Let me talk.
I just said you don't have a defeater. Now you're
it still defeats the position. It's not directly about Platonism. It's about atheistic Platonism.
Do you have an argument against Platonism? Yes or no?
Here's my argument. When you talk about the universality of the law of non-contradiction, you are not justified in believing it as an atheist.
That's just a claim, but why would anyone accept that?
Wait, so you can provide a justification for it then? Because you're making the claim that the law of logic
Why don't you
exists.
don't dodge the question? Just give me an argument.
No,
Why
I'm
would I-
no, I'm asking you for an argument.
You're just burden shifting?
No, because you made a claim.
Oh, it looks like you don't know what an argument is or burden
Listen,
shifting is.
Danny, I'll explain it to you very simply.
I'll explain what burden
You
shifting
said
is to you.
you said you were going to make an argument against the Christian God, correct?
I said we could do that if you want to change the
Right,
subject.
and then what I said was, I need you to provide a justification for the preconditions of argument, such like the law of non-contradiction.
But why would
right?
you need to do? Why would you need to do that?
Why? Because I'm not just going to allow you to talk about things without justifying them and claim things without a justification.
Why wouldn't you allow it?
Because all right, if you're going to allow people to claim things without justification, then God exists. Debate over.
No. There's some things that it doesn't make sense to have a justification for in the way that you're construing it. Okay, because
Like God.
for example, and I already gave you. I explained this to you. I think 3 times.
I'm just going to use the same. Whatever your explanation is, I'm just going to use it for God.
Okay, so do we agree that in order for
I don't
justification,
care about what we agree on.
you don't care about what we agree on?
You're making a claim, and I'm asking you to justify your claim.
What claim am I making?
That you can make arguments.
You disagree that I can make arguments.
No, I disagree that you have the justification for the preconditions in order to be able to make arguments.
Okay, suppose I don't have the justification. What now?
All right, then you can't make an argument. Good job.
Okay, what does that have to do with atheism and the existence of God?
Well, because the same justification you would need to make an argument, you would need for the very words that just came out of your mouth to have any meaning
it's
at all.
like precepts don't understand this. If I'm a moron,
appeal to the audience more.
let me explain it for you, right? If I'm a moron and I don't know how to answer your questions, does that mean therefore God exists?
In this debate, yes.
Oh, okay. So if I'm a moron in this debate, therefore God exists, dumbass?
No, I'm saying that you would lose the debate.
No. The debate is whether God exists, and you're suggesting
Right.
that
And
that
it's a debate
Danny,
me
you're
versus you.
suggesting that if I'm stupid, therefore God exists. But that's stupid. That's itself stupid.
No. If you can't provide the justification for the preconditions of an argument, then you can't sit here and make arguments. Sorry if you're stupid and can't do it, but then you lose the debate.
Okay, but the point is that doesn't therefore mean God exists. So you haven't met your burden.
No, but I have made the argument multiple times, and I can make it again if you'd like.
Okay, what's the first premise?
I do have to redirect us. You guys, we need to get to the core of this issue. We could talk about an inductive or deductive argument for atheism. Or we can go stay more central. But I do want to kind of give you guys like a little bit of a yellow card here. We do have to stay on topic. The audience is losing track. They're saying, and I'm frankly experiencing the same thing. They're like, wait a minute, is this on topic? We need to stay on
I think
topic.
part of the problem is that I'm willing to give like something like the problem of evil, but
How
then
about
he
this?
admit
I just
he
remembered.
just yeah. Go ahead.
Forgive me for interrupting, but I just remembered. And this is maybe what you guys are kind of getting at. Danny, you said earlier, even if you granted, like, I can't answer your questions, Wi-Fi gospel. I think this is where you guys were. You're saying it doesn't follow that theism is true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wi-Fi gospel, what's your response to that?
And that's completely fine. The issue is my argument rests on a disjunctive that basically pits the only two options against each other, eliminates one of those options,
But you
and
haven't shown that.
double.
You just haven't shown that. And by the way, for the record, I have offered to give my own argument, but everybody heard what he said. If I give an argument, he's just going to change the subject back to precept.
Okay,
right?
so just to
That's my argument.
really okay, hold on, just
You
because
don't-
we're in the thick of things. So a disjunctive syllogism, folks, is when you say A or B, not A or not B, it could be either one. Therefore, whichever one is left. And Wi-Fi Gospel is saying, hey, I said, Christianity or maybe theism more broadly, or atheism. Atheism can't account for this, therefore we're only left with theism, which is a fine, assuming that you think he made the case that atheism can't count for it, that would be a fine argument. But Danny Filtek, I'm thinking you're saying, hey, wait a minute, you didn't show that. Would you be willing to go deeper on a quick summary Wi-Fi on why you say atheism can't account for these things, and then we want to give Danny a chance to respond to say, well, here's how your critique
Okay.
fails.
I have the syllogisms, and I'm willing to go through them. I just wanted to show that we actually don't have to talk about the syllogisms. I think I showed that. Danny probably thinks that I'm retarded for that. That's fine. I can go through the syllogisms now if you'd like.
Okay, so you've had an argument all this time.
Well, I just wanted to show that you don't actually have to provide a
You haven't
syllogism to
shown.
make an argument.
Let's
But again,
stay,
we're not going to
let's stay
agree on that,
focused.
so let's
Okay.
do
I
this.
need you to stay focused. Go ahead,
All right.
Wi-Fi.
So the first syllogism, it's a three-part syllogism. If knowledge is possible, then God exists. Knowledge is possible, therefore God exists. We can go through that quickly. I know you're going to say, what's premise one doing there, right?
Right. What's the support the first premise?
Right. So this is it. Either God is a necessary condition for the possibility of knowledge, A, or not A.
Mm-hmm.
It is not the case that God is not necessary, not A. Therefore, God is a necessary condition, A.
All right. What's the argument for the second premise? Because the second premise is just saying
happen.
Hmm?
And I'm gonna. This is the final syllogism I can give, because we could just give an endless loop of syllogisms for every argument ever. If autonomous epistemology is true, then reason must justify itself. Reason cannot justify itself without vicious circularity. Therefore, autonomous epistemology is not true.
But that doesn't support your second premise of the second argument.
So autonomous epistemology is an epistemology that does not use God as a necessary condition for the possibility of knowledge.
Okay, so by autonomous epistemology, you just mean atheistic epistemology?
Correct.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, so then the conditional is that if you're an atheist, you can't what? You can't have knowledge?
Yes, so the statement knowledge is possible cannot be justified.
All right, so why would anyone think that?
And this is what I said in my opening statement. When you try to justify that, you're using a second order statement. The problem is, within that second order statement, it assumes that knowledge exists on the first order.
What does that have to do with atheism?
Because if you're an atheist, that's all you have, and it doesn't work.
Okay, give me the argument for that.
See, this is why we don't get into syllogisms, because
This is why you don't. You see, this is why you don't
give me the argument
right?
for that. Give me the argument for that. And
You've
then
not
hold
given
on.
one argument. One argument that's not question begging.
An argument.
Look, you just give what you do, and what precepts do is they constantly give question begging arguments, right? What they do is they put their conclusion, right, in their premises, and then say, "I argued," right? That's just stick, and no one's buying it except. Now, well, I'll spare the insults.
I mean, you're just being pedantic. That's the entirety of your argument, is saying you didn't give an argument.
Look,
good job,
if pedantry amounts to I don't want a question begging argument, yes, I am. Right? If I'm a pedant, if I'm requiring a non-question begging argument, I'll take the label. Okay?
So are you not willing to justify that knowledge exists? You're just gonna claim it?
How would that help your case?
Because, all right, so are you saying then, you're saying I can't show that atheism isn't true? You're saying that I can't show that atheism can't justify.
No, I'm saying
right?
that I have not heard a non-question begging argument from you, and you have given us no reason to accept any of your conclusions. That's what I'm saying.
Wait. A non-question begging argument? The last argument I gave you, how is that question begging?
Because I reject the conditional.
Which is,
if you're an atheist, you don't.
Hold on.
The
conditional on the last syllogism,
yes,
is if autonomous epistemology is true, reason must justify itself.
Right, but you define autonomous epistemology as just any epistemology that's compatible with atheism, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then your claim, right, is that if you're an atheist, then knowledge is not possible, which is what we want you to support.
No, I'm saying that reason must justify itself. That's the conditional.
No. You defined autonomous reasoning as atheist epistemology, correct?
Correct. Any epistemology that does not use God as a necessary condition.
Right, just atheist epistemology. So the conditional reads, if you're an atheist, okay, then no possibility of knowledge. You have to prove that.
No, it literally says, I'm reading it word for word here. If autonomous epistemology is true, reason must justify itself. And then you said, how do you know that? Support that. I said, if you're an atheist, you have nothing outside of yourself to justify knowledge. Therefore, you must use yourself or justify reason itself.
Okay, to be fair to you, I didn't hear the consequent, but I still reject the conditional. The consequent was that that reasoning justify. What was it?
Yeah, reason must justify itself.
Okay, why are atheists committed to that fact that reason must justify itself, quote unquote?
Because as an atheist, there is nothing outside of you. There is no God outside of you that can justify reason itself. You must do it.
It's going to be true, trivially true, that atheists can't appeal to God for anything. Because guess what? We're atheists, okay? But it does not follow from that therefore atheists can't appeal to external grounds for justification.
And how would you know that external ground?
I'm telling you, you gave a
no. It is. Because
what is?
You can't know that external ground.
Give me the argument for that.
You have to use yourself. See,
give me the argument.
You can just give me the argument for every little thing.
Stop making assertions.
And this is the pedantry.
Because all you are, if pedantry means that I'm going to call you out for assertions, I'm a pedant. I'll take the label. You just assert things over and over and over again without supporting anything. You don't know how to support your claims.
Like when you did it with the laws of non-contradiction.
I didn't. What do you mean when I said assert it? Right? I mean that I'm asserting something in the debate that no reasonable person should accept, including me, okay? But you and I agree, okay, that A is A.
So you're just not convinced.
You're not convinced by what?
Then that's what you said. Why should I accept it? I'm just not convinced.
Accept what?
Exactly, my argument.
I'm not, the premises of your argument.
Okay, so you can literally ask for an argument continuously, no matter what syllogisms I give.
No, give me a non-question begging argument.
It's not question begging.
What does question begging mean?
When you assume the conclusion of your argument in the premise.
In the premises. Now, are you trying to conclude that if you're an atheist, therefore they can't appeal to external grounds?
Use the language of my argument, please.
I did. You defined autonomous reasoning as atheistic epistemology, right?
Okay, yeah. So when I'm concluding that autonomous epistemology is not true, I'm not saying autonomous epistemology is not true in my first or second premise.
Okay, going back to the read by autonomous. Excuse me. By autonomous, can you repeat that first conditional? Because I asked you to define it. Now you're going back. Right.
If autonomous epistemology is true, reason must justify itself. And where am I saying that autonomous epistemology is not true in that premise?
The point is that you accept that premise, and if what you mean by autonomous reasoning is atheistic, okay, then I'm going to reject that premise, and you have to support it.
Why? That's literally what it means.
Okay, so then why would an atheist accept
honestly, it doesn't even have to be atheistic. I'm sure you could come up with a theistic account would fall under autonomous epistemology. Autonomous epistemology.
Okay, then the argument has nothing to do with God's existence.
Yes, it does. The autonomous epistemology is all the atheist has. It's not necessarily limited to atheism.
Can you support that?
All the atheist has.
Support that.
Yes, because autonomous epistemology is when you're trying to reason solely from yourself.
Okay, so go ahead.
Any external source that you provide that isn't God, you must know it.
What does that have to do with atheism?
I've given the argument several times now. See, this is exactly why I gave the argument without the syllogisms. Because I wanted to show that once we got into the syllogisms,
because once you actually give an argument
and say, I'm not convinced.
Once you actually give an argument,
he's not actually interacting with the argument. He just keeps saying, give me more arguments, give me more syllogisms. You can do that for anything.
So let me just teach you something about arguments, right?
No, I don't want you to teach me.
I'm going to teach you because you don't know what you're talking about. When you give an argument, like look at this.
This is getting off topic right here.
No. Here's why. Because
all right. So
if you want to proceed,
can defeat the argument by saying,
let me give you an example.
I do want to bring us Maybe, is there one we haven't talked about? Do you guys have any interest in talking about arguments for atheism?
I am, but he's going to change the subject back to this.
Good. Look, all right. I think we thoroughly went through my arguments, and I will go through your arguments, and I won't bring it back to my original argument. Now that we're deeper into the debate, I feel like I've gotten my argument out on the table, so we can do that.
Okay. So then I can give an argument against God's existence, where we're understanding God as traditional in a traditional monotheistic way, where God is all powerful, all knowing, and all good. Presumably, my debate opponent accepts that. So the argument goes something like this: that an all good being is a wholly good being is one that is opposed to evil, and being opposed to evil implies that you have a disposition to eliminate it when you can. There are no limits to God. And so from those premises, you get that evil is eliminated. But guess what? Evil is not eliminated. There are evil things in the world. So one of those premises have to be false. Either we're giving up on a traditional monotheistic conception of God, or you're giving up on the existence of evil.
So I will get into that, but I do want to point out that one, that would not defeat the existence of God on itself. And two, I could do the same pedantic stuff and have you go through syllogisms and then ask you for more syllogism. I'm not going to do that, but like
that's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do.
Like nobody wants to listen to that. First of all,
it's called a debate. It's called a debate. You analyze the premises.
All right. Hey, I was gonna be charitable. Now I won't. All right.
There you go.
Give me the syllogism. Give me the syllogism.
I just gave you the syllogism.
All right. First premise.
Yeah, a wholly good being is opposed to evil.
A wholly good being is opposed to evil. Second premise.
What it means to be opposed to evil is to have a disposition to eliminate it when it can.
Okay. Conclusion.
Oh no, there's more.
Not good.
There's another premise, right?
So it's not a syllogism?
No, it's an argument. Do you know what a syllogism is?
So arguments don't have to be syllogisms?
Yes. Why don't you? Do you know? You just go look what a syllogism is. Read a logic book, okay?
I'm just throwing your own medicine back at you, and you don't like it. Go ahead with the next premise.
Yeah. So the idea is that God is omnipotent. God has no limits. That's the third premise. By the way, a syllogism has two premises.
Just go on with the argument, dude.
I just did. I just gave you the third premise. Do you accept it?
Okay. Is there a conclusion?
Yeah. The conclusion is that there's no evil. If you accept those three premises.
So the conclusion is there is no evil.
That's right.
And how does that make God not exist?
Well, presumably you think there's evil, right?
Well, what does it matter what I think? It's your argument, Danny.
What matters what you think, because it's a reductio ad absurdum.
You don't like it, do you?
Like what?
All right. So let me teach you.
What do you think you're doing?
No, I'm just giving you your medicine back at you. But presumably what
doesn't
you
even
mean
make sense.
is that... Okay. Presumably what you mean is that a good God can exist because of this argument.
That a traditional... Yeah, you're going to have to give up on a traditional monotheistic conception of God, or you have to give up on the existence of evil. Which
could a traditional monotheistic God who is all good, could part of that be creating people with free will?
Sure.
Okay. And could part of that...
Sorry, what premise are you rejecting?
Well, I'm rejecting that the disposition to... That he, I guess, doesn't... I would agree that the disposition to eliminate evil when it can is true. But saying that... I guess my argument is that God creating...
Which premise do you disagree with? 1, 2, or 3?
I would disagree with that. Creating humans with free will and having them commit acts of evil.
That's not a premise. I didn't give that premise. I thought you wrote them down.
A good God is opposed to evil, yes. Yeah, so, no, all right, it's number 4 then, your conclusion, there is no evil.
So you accept the premises, but you deny the conclusion, is what I'm hearing? Oh, God.
Yeah, because they don't lead to the conclusion.
Oh, they don't lead to the conclusion. All right, but it's a valid argument. And here's why, right?
What's number 3? All I have is God is omnipotent.
God has no limits, right? So if you do you okay, so I'll repeat the 3 premises, okay?
Yeah, so I would actually disagree with premise 3.
Okay, so God has limits.
Yes.
All right, and so he's unable to prevent evil, for example.
No, he's unwilling to prevent all evil.
All right, so God is not omnipotent.
No, he is. He's just unwilling to prevent all evil.
Wait, the third premise is omnipotent. God is omnipotent.
Yeah, he limits himself.
Okay, so God is not omnipotent?
If by God not being, if you think that by being omnipotent he can't limit himself, then no, God's not omnipotent.
No, being omnipotent is having no limits in what that being can do.
I disagree.
Okay, so God is not omnipotent. You've conceded.
Under your definition of omnipotence.
So you think omnipotence doesn't mean having no limits in what a being can do?
No, I mean, sure, go with that. Then yeah, God is not omnipotent. Nowhere is that a Christian view under that definition of omnipotence.
Okay, so God is limited. Nice to hear. All right, okay.
And so your argument, hold on. So does your argument prove that God doesn't exist?
It proves that traditional monotheism is false, which is what Christians accept.
Okay. So is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, presumably, capital G God is the one only God who's at the highest echelon of power, and on Christianity, right? That is going to be omnipotence, maximal power.
So Christianity is not true, therefore God doesn't exist. Got it.
Now, if you want to say God can be evil or weak or not knowledgeable, then I have other arguments for that kind of thing.
Well, I disagree with your definition. God, and under your definition that God has no limits at all, then yeah, that Christian God is not omnipotent.
The only one that matters actually is I can modify the third premise as God can eliminate anything in reality that he wants. I can modify it to that, and you still have a problem.
God can eliminate anything. Yeah, so God, just because God can and he's unwilling doesn't make him evil.
Okay, the question is, do you accept the modified third premise that God can eliminate anything in reality that he wants?
Yeah, he can eliminate anything in reality. Disposition to eliminate evil when it can. Yeah, but that changes everything because
doesn't
God,
change it.
Yeah, because God can eliminate beings with free will, but he chooses not to. But creating beings with free will is good.
Sorry, which premise are you denying? With the modified third premise.
Premise 2.
Premise 2. Premise 2 is that what it means to be opposed is to have a disposition.
Yeah, actually, I want a justification for premise 2.
That's just analytic. It's by definition what opposed is. So, like, I'll give you an example.
No.
If I say I'm opposed to abortion, right, then that means that I'm going to eliminate it if I can.
Says who?
Hmm?
Says who?
That's just what it means. The word mean. Do you know what a definition is?
Wait, so in order to be opposed to something, you would therefore have to eliminate it?
No.
If you can?
No. Yeah, if you're opposed to it and you're able, especially effortlessly, able to eliminate it, you don't.
Follow.
In what sense are you opposed to it?
Well, it's just a preference.
Yeah, if you have the preference to, let's say, eliminate, if you have the preference against abortion, but you have no disposition to eliminate it, I don't even know what that means.
Well, like if I value freedom over the evil of abortion.
Okay, so you can have conflicting will. You can have an opposition.
That's not conflicting.
It is conflicting. Like if
I oppose say this is my position, but if I opposed abortion, but I preferred ultimate freedom,
those are conflicting values. Because one, you can't get both.
Yes, you can if other people choose not to abort.
No, the point is that it's not within your power to get both.
Okay, even if it was.
Well, then there wouldn't be a problem.
Even if
you get both,
there is no problem.
What are you saying? Look, it's very clear.
It's the same with God. If God has the value of free will, but he opposes evil,
Yeah, he can get both, right? You just
Sh-
said it.
Could God create beings with free will and there be no evil?
You just said it was possible. They're not conflicting. God can get both.
No, he cannot create beings with free will and not have evil.
So then it's conflicting values.
How is it conflicting values?
Because you can't get both. So they're conflicting. You have to God has to choose.
No, he has both.
Oh, he has no evil.
A world of no, he doesn't have no. He has a world with beings with free will, and there's evil. He has both.
So God wants evil.
In the sense that he wants beings with free will, yeah.
Okay.
If God didn't want there to be evil in the
I'll
world,
take
there
that.
would be
Okay,
no
a
evil.
holy good being wants evil. I'll take that. Yeah. Okay, I'll buy that. Okay.
So then your argument doesn't work? Is
Right.
that what you're biting?
Just like a holy evil being just loves the good sometimes,
Wait,
right?
how
A
does
holy
that make
good.
God evil?
What do you think holy good means? Do holy good things like evil things? Do they want evil
Wait,
things?
no. That God doesn't do something that is evil?
A holy good being is disposed and ordered only toward the good, not evil.
Okay. And what makes you think that he wants the evil?
You said that.
Yeah, he in the sense that he wants the good thing, which is creating free beings with free will.
Then he wants evil. On your
He
view.
wants the beings with free will, and they come with evil because they make their own decisions.
Okay, question. Does God want evil, yes or no?
God does not want evil. No. Like
Okay, so I don't know why you
does
said
God
he wants
want
evil.
does God want evil to exist in the world?
Does God
in
want
the
evil?
sen-
Yeah.
Yes.
God
But how
wants
does
evil.
that make him not good?
Because a holy good, think about it, maybe we'll use an analogy.
No. I want the argument for it.
It's just definitional, right? It's what, if you know what
wait,
the word,
wait. What's the argument for it?
it's definitional. I'll tell you.
No, it's
right?
not.
It's not by definition that a holy good being wants only good.
No.
What does holy good mean?
Well, can evil actions result in good? Or can
If,
evil
yeah,
other
go ahead.
beings doing evil, can that result in good?
It can result in good, yeah.
Okay. So if God's ultimate end is good, but he wants beings with free will who commit evil acts to get to that good, how does that make him not
The
good?
point is that God can get those goods without evil because he's all powerful.
Well, how?
How is God all powerful?
No. How can God get no evil with beings with free will?
Okay, well, first of all, God has control over what happens and what doesn't happen, right?
No, not everything, no.
Okay, so for example, do
He
you
doesn't
think,
control what the words coming out of our mouths right now.
okay, so God couldn't snap his fingers and shut us up?
Well, yeah, he definitely could do that.
Okay, so
But he's
he
not
does have
choosing the
control.
words that come out of our mouth.
The point is that he's control of what happens.
So if we were unable to speak, sure, but that wouldn't eliminate evil.
Just look at a Bible story like Noah's Ark, okay? Did God violate the free will of the people of the day in Noah's day? Did he violate their free will?
No.
You're saying no?
Correct.
Okay, so if you're about to do something and God zaps you, like lightning bolts you, all right, that's not violating your free will.
No.
Okay, so if someone is about to grape, I don't know, I'm from TikTok, so I have to be careful. I don't know what words I can say on YouTube. If a grapist is about to grape a woman, if God lightning bolts them before they do it, is that taking away their free will?
No.
I couldn't hear you. What did you say?
No, sorry, I have the noise filter on here.
No. Okay, what does it mean to take away free will on your view?
That we would not be able to freely make decisions.
Okay, so the grapist freely decides to go grape, and God prevents that free decision. That fits
Actions
your
and
definition.
decisions are not the same thing.
All decisions are actions by definition.
If
It's a
I
type of
decide to
act.
hate you, if I decide to hate you right now, what action am I performing?
The act of hating.
And how is that? Where does that act exist?
Do you think hating someone is sin?
No, I don't.
Okay. Do you think if you hate God, that's a sin?
If you hate God, yeah.
Is hating God an action?
No.
No. Are sins actions?
No.
Sins are not actions.
Sin can be an action, but they're not inherently actions, no.
Okay, what do you mean by an action?
That's a good question. I don't necessarily have a definition of an action off the top of my head, but I would say doing something physically in the world.
So when you lust after a woman in your head, is that an action?
No.
You're not so lusting is not an action.
No.
Okay, it sounds like
I
what
mean,
you mean by
it can be.
I don't know what you mean by action, but let's throw out the word, okay? So a person has decided, okay, maybe you're making a difference between intending to do something and then fulfilling the intention. Is that the distinction you're drawing?
Yeah, you can sin with intention.
Sorry, what?
Yes, and you can sin with
Okay,
intention.
so then
That's
what
why
you mean
sin
by
is
an
wrong.
action? Okay, so I see. What you mean by an action is like an intention that's followed up by a behavior or like a doing, whereas a decision is like just intending, and that either could be sin. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that
Okay.
sounds right.
All right. So fine. If someone prevents you from succeeding in your intention, is that taking away their free will?
No.
But you just said that a decision is just intending, forming an intention.
So say it again.
You said a decision.
No,
If you're
before
trying,
that.
if you're trying to just draw a distinction between decision and action, where decision is intending to do something and action
Yep.
is fulfilling that intention, okay? You said that what it means to take away free will is preventing the decision.
No. What it
Okay.
means to take away free will is control, like the cause of the decision isn't coming from yourself ultimately.
Okay. So you're saying that are you a libertarian? Free will?
I'm not familiar. I know the term, but I'm not exactly sure what it
Okay.
entails.
In other words, do you think you're not a Calvinist or anything like that, is what I'm asking.
No, definitely not a Calvinist.
Okay. So rewinding
Because you would agree that under Calvinism, that wouldn't be free will. That's
under
the cause of your will.
Yeah, it sounds
is
like you're a
caused by God.
it sounds like you're a libertarian, but Calvinists will be fine to say God causes everything. He's the
Right. I
cause of
wouldn't be
everything.
fine with saying that.
Okay, I'm just making sure. So rewinding, I don't. Would it be violating? It's not violating someone's free will to go and sexually assault someone, right? It wouldn't. If you were to stop someone from sexually assaulting when they decided to do it, that's not violating free will, right?
Right. Physically, if I was physically to do that, right.
Right. So why doesn't God prevent those people that have decided to do that?
I mean, assuming he has a morally justified reason to do so, I don't know if I could speak exactly on why God doesn't stop that.
The point is that on your view,
But me not being able to provide an answer there doesn't mean that God is not morally justified in doing so.
on your view, God can prevent every instance of human suffering if he wanted.
Yes.
Okay, including things like
Well, no,
raping.
not every, but some that we have now, sure.
Okay, so what prevents God from what stops God from preventing sexual assault?
Stops God from preventing sexual assault. For the ultimate good that will come in the justice that he propenses in the end.
So goodness stops God from stopping sexual assault.
Yes.
Okay, and so if it's goodness thinks that it should happen, then in what sense is it evil?
What? Well, because very easily actually, if I were to do something that is against God's will, and in that same act, justice is served, because justice will be served ultimately from this act, then it is good that it happened in the sense that God has served justice. So God is not responsible for me doing it, and he is responsible for the justice that he gives to me for doing it. So he has done something good and I have done something evil, and he is not held responsible for my actions.
Okay, so let me get this straight. We see a child being abused on the side of the road as we're driving. If we're good people, right, then it's because it's evil that we would stop the car and prevent the assault, right?
Well, under my view, because it's our duty, yeah.
Okay. So
But
then
I wouldn't, under your view, there would be no duty.
okay, but your view is that a good person would be disposed to stopping that kind of thing because it's evil, right?
No, because we have a duty to stop certain actions.
Okay, not because it's evil.
Yeah, because we don't have a duty to stop every evil action.
Okay, but that evil action, do we have a duty to stop that evil?
Yes, but not
Yes.
merely because it's evil.
Okay, so do you ever have a duty to stop something good?
Yeah.
So it seems like what you're saying is that you can have a duty to do something evil and a
No.
duty to stop something good, which is completely backwards.
No. In what way did I say you could have a duty to do something evil? What in all situations, not in every situation is stopping something good from happening evil.
The point is that on your view, good and evil don't determine your duties.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
And neither does it for you.
No, I think that they do, but that's fine. The point is that
No, it's not fine. You can't just say that.
the point is
Well,
that
I think that so every time somebody does something that is morally wrong, you have a duty to stop it.
All else being equal, yeah.
Okay. So if somebody is performing a sexual act that you think is morally wrong, you have a duty to stop it?
All else being equal, yes, but I have competing values.
Okay.
2 seconds.
All right,
Just
so-
because I hosted a debate earlier today, and it got demonetized. And I think it's
Oh no.
actually because I used the word that you just used. So instead of sex,
Wow, YouTube's getting serious, huh?
we have to. I could be wrong. It might have been something else, but just to be safe.
I'll
But
say,
before you say something, do you know what all else being equal is?
all else
You know what that
being
means?
equal. Yeah, so like if something else isn't preventing you from it, or what do you
No,
mean?
it means that putting aside anything else about the context, putting aside my other values, right? Just looking at the fact that it's morally bad, yes, I would prevent it. But if you insert my other values, I have hierarchical values, I have conflicting will. I can't. I'm limited, right? So then I make decisions about, okay, well, I would prevent it had it not been for this other value.
So then you don't actually have the duty to do it.
Because
of your other
all else
values.
being equal, the point is that
All right, so then all else isn't equal, obviously.
okay, so
don't
then yeah,
qualify with
so then
that
it would
then.
just depend.
So you
right?
wouldn't have the duty to stop everything that is morally bad. Thank you.
No. All else being equal, yes.
No, yeah, that's the qualifier that I'm not allowing you to use here because all else is not equal.
If all else is not equal, I could have. There could be I could be conflicted about what.
If you thought that two men doing things was wrong,
Mm-hmm.
would you have, in your view, then the duty to stop it? All else being equal.
By definition, yeah.
Okay, so then why is it that you have a problem with other people doing so?
Why do I have a problem with what?
With other people stopping two men from doing those things.
Because I don't think it's wrong.
Okay, but they do.
Why would I care about them?
Exactly.
Exactly.
All right, so then you wouldn't have a problem with other people following their duty to stop morally bad things from happening.
How are you getting that?
Because they think it's wrong. So in their view,
Why
they
would
have
I
a
care
duty
about
to stop it.
This is as silly as saying this. Danny, do you like ice cream? Yeah, but they don't like ice cream, so therefore you can't like ice cream. That's what you're doing.
No, I'm asking what your problem is with morally, not because you have a silly preference on ice cream. Is that all your morals are? Silly preferences?
No. You didn't understand the analogy. Do you understand the analogy?
Yes, and it doesn't follow because
You're
I'm talking
saying
about
literally
morality
because,
and not
look,
silly preferences.
it would be like
Is that
saying,
what your morality is silly preferences?
that's not what I'm saying. It's an analogy. Do you know what
Okay,
analogies do?
so then if the morals are the same,
I'm not.
right?
What
Then
morals
they
are the
don't
same?
have a moral duty. So they don't have a moral duty to stop it?
Unto themselves, they might, but why would I care about that?
Okay. All right. Exactly. Why are we talking about it then?
We agree
Why
on
are we
that.
talking about these moral duties then?
You're the one that brought it up, not me.
Yeah, but then you said, no, in my view, I would have a moral duty to do that.
Look, if I considered something to be bad, all else being equal, I ought to prevent it.
Yeah, so you're saying that because if like literally there's nothing else, no other variables, then you would have to prevent it.
Right.
Okay, so then why are you eliminating variables from the situation with God?
Well, God isn't a being where presumably is God's will conflicted, right? Number one. Number two, is it possible for God to do the wrong thing? It's possible for me to do the wrong thing, right? And three, I'm not omnipotent, so I have to compromise, I have to tolerate.
Okay, well, what if? All right, so then back to my hypothetical, because I understand what you're saying. You're saying if you could have a lapse of judgment, so that may prevent you from having a moral duty to stop something that's maybe inconsequential. Is that fair?
Yeah, like I could think that this is the best thing to do, but then I end up not preventing it. That could happen, but also that would be doing something. That would mean that I'm doing something wrong. But there's also the case where I just don't have the power to stop it without violating my other goals. So an example would be
Okay,
like,
so then that's the same for God.
if God doesn't have the power to
He
stop it,
doesn't. He doesn't have the power to control somebody else's free will and still give them free will. He
he
can't do
doesn't need to
both.
do that. On your definition of free will, he doesn't need to do that to prevent evil.
Yes, he does to prevent all evil. Yeah.
What evils would require free will?
Lust, for example.
Huh?
Well, so all evil, right? There are things you can do that aren't you wouldn't physically stop.
What evil can God not prevent? Give me an example.
Lust.
God can't. So if God had situated the world where,
if he gives you free will.
if God had situated the world where you never saw the woman, would that be preventing? Would that be taking away your free will, for example?
No, okay, so you're saying then that God, in order for God would have to create an entire everybody within their own world. Like, I'm not sure exactly what
You're
getting at.
underestimating your own God. Look, the point is that if I see a woman and then I'm like, wow, and then I've developed lustful feelings, God could have set up the world where I never saw that woman at that time, or set it up to where
How?
I'm gay. I don't know, right? The point
Well,
is,
then it would always be wrong.
the point is that He could set it up to where I never formed the lustful feelings, and that's not taking away free will.
Well, yes, it would be.
How?
If because of God's other values, such as creating a world in which people interact.
He could do. You're underestimating God, right? He can set it up where people are interacting, and no one ever sees someone that they would develop lustful feelings for, and not take away free will. He's powerful enough to do
How?
that. You're underestimating your own God.
So God can control. Like, listen, I'm a man. You're a man. You probably have some lustful thoughts at people who are not very attractive before, right?
Uh, it,
Like
that
Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah.
I feel like if I'm lusting after them, they have to be attractive.
Come
right?
on. You've never lusted after someone who's not attractive? You ever been
Yeah, I can't.
drunk before?
I don't actually drink very much, but no, I've only lusted after maybe. Okay, well, I don't. I mean, they have to be in some degree attractive, no, but it doesn't matter.
Maybe I'm exposing myself right now, but there's other people out there who feel the same way.
Okay, but okay, let's say it's possible. What's your point?
My point is that you're saying, like, it's honestly, it reminds me of our friend Tom Jump, of where his moral system is based on the fact that everybody would have like their own world in which like they're completely secluded, and it's all based on like
No. You're
it's all free
I think
will
you're
and stuff,
underestimating God, right? God could
Okay.
create us with whatever biology he wants, right? He can create us with any kind of psychology he wants. He can make it to where he engineers us that once we make a decision to marry someone, we only are attracted to them. That's not taking away our free
Would
will. In fact, I still like
not if his intention is to create beings in his own image.
is creating the image of God means that you could lust?
That you have the potentiality for it, yeah.
God has the potentiality to lust?
That's literally when, like, otherwise Jesus would not be able to be tempted.
So Jesus lusted?
No, he could have, otherwise it wasn't temptation.
God could have lusted?
Jesus could have lusted, yes. I don't know if you knew this.
Can God sin?
No.
Okay, is lusting sinning?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so God can't sin. Sin is a lust. Lust
So
is a form of sin.
all right. He
So you
he
just
can't
contradicted
because
yourself.
he won't.
You
He
just
can't because he won't.
Okay, now I'm glad you're amending it because
All
you
right, is
contradicted yourself.
it temptation then? If he wouldn't do it, if he there was the potential for it, otherwise it wouldn't have been temptation.
You know, that's funny. This is an argument I bring against Christians, but it looks like you're halfway there with me. Right? I actually give this argument Jesus can't be God because he was tempted.
What?
Yeah, because you understand it. The problem is that God can't be tempted because he can't sin. Jesus is God, yet he was tempted.
No, what do you mean God can't be tempted? Jesus was tempted and Jesus is God.
You said, can God sin? Your answer was yes, right?
God, he cannot sin because he won't sin.
That's not the question I asked. Can God sin, yes or no?
Sure, there's the potential for God to do that. Sure.
So God can potentially sin, period. Okay, then he's not essentially good.
What do you He doesn't sin, he hasn't sinned, he won't sin.
Yeah.
The potential is there, yeah.
Yeah, you're saying God is good, but not essentially good. Is that the idea?
What do you mean?
Huh?
What do you mean essentially good?
Like, meaning that a required attribute of being God is to be good. That's not required on your view. It's an accident. It's an accidental property.
No. It's not a property. God is good. He's the definition of good.
That makes it even worse, right? If he's the definition, you're saying
What?
the being by definition is good, but then can do evil.
The potential is there for him to contradict himself in a sense, but he won't do it.
Okay, fine, but I'm telling you the problem with that is you're going to have to give up on this idea that God is the definition of good.
No.
Because if you're saying something's the definition, look, let me give you an example. If I say the definition of bachelor is unmarried man, but yeah, bachelors can remain bachelors while being married, then it's not the definition.
What?
If by definition,
So, all right, the nature of God is good. Okay?
that just means he's essential. It's essential. That's what nature means.
Give you guys just a 2-minute warning here, and then we're going to jump into the Q&A as we've got about hour and 40 minutes, and there are people, we definitely have a good amount of questions that people have already racked up. So
It's how many minutes?
we've gone about an hour and 40 minutes or so. Not all of that was open. Not all of that was.
Sorry, how many more minutes do we have left? Sorry.
2 minutes.
Okay. I've been grilling you for the last few minutes. Do you want the last 2 minutes, or do you just want to end it here? I mean.
Yeah, I don't have anything that we could like stick in 2 minutes.
Okay. Well, let me just. How about this? I'll give I'll say my little thing, and then you have the last word. All right. So
Well,
what I was just saying.
we'll probably do closing statements at the end, so I don't want you to give your closing out.
Well, last word about what the point we were just making.
Okay.
Right, okay. So very quickly, I'm fine to say God is good, but there's a question about whether that's essential to God or not. If you think that God can do evil, then it's not essentially good. God is not essentially good because there's a world where God is not good because he does evil. Okay. If something's essentially that way, it can only be that way. Okay. And that's the problem that I see. And I'll give you the last word on that.
Cool. Yeah. So this is where I'm going to get myself in trouble, especially with my Orthodox friends. They're all going to yell at me vehemently after this debate for the last part. This is why I debate topics such as does God exist, as I'm inquiring into Orthodoxy. So I probably messed up this last part about God being good. And if I were to just give the last word to correct it, it would, and I'm sorry to just throw this on you because now you can't rebut it, but it's that God's nature is good. to say it probably is correct to say that God can't sin. But when you put it back into Jesus, and this is where orthodoxy does all of the work, and I don't have the answers for it as I should, but that Jesus has both a divine will and a human will. And his temptation was in the human will, is why he could be tempted. So, I mean, if you want to give James a few minutes to talk about that, you can. If not, we can go into the Q&A.
No, I told you I would give you the last word. I'll give you. So that's it. We'll leave it at that. We can do the quick Q&A if you want, James.
You got it. We're jumping into these questions. I want to say, folks, a couple of quick housekeeping things. As you can see at the bottom right of your screen, if you are affiliated with a university, whether you be part of a group, or it might be the case that you are at a university itself. You're like a professor and you're like, hey, we want to get the word out about our university. Reach out to moderndaydebate@gmail.com if you'd like to host a big debate on your college campus. This is possible in a number of different ways. One, if you want, you can start a modern day debate chapter. But if you're like, hey, that's just a lot of time, it's okay. Let's say you have a Ratio Christi group or a secular student alliance like Danny Philtalk might hang out in. Don't worry. If you want, we could say, hey, we'll just call it Ratio Christi Con or Secular Student Society Con. And it's a way of promoting your student group name. Just reach out to moderndaydebate@gmail.com. We've hosted many in-person debates. We know what we're doing, and we can make it big and good. moderndaydebate@gmail.com. Now your questions. Thank you very much for your questions, folks. We're going to jump right into it. This one from, you guys want the blood sports versions, or do you guys want me to tame them? Sometimes
Personally,
they're mean.
I don't mind.
I don't mind
Yeah,
either
it's
way.
okay for me.
Okay.
I don't mind either way.
I warned you. Okay. An honest debater says, is God transcendent and or beyond conception?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is again, and the reason I said I do debates, does God exist, is because inquiring into orthodoxy is a commitment where you're not supposed to be defending the Christian worldview without a blessing from a priest. I'm just an inquirer. I came from a Protestant background. I still do debates because I try to frame it as it does God exist and not get into the Christian worldview, but I felt tonight, to be fair, I kind of had to a little bit. So maybe I made a mistake in doing so, and maybe this is a mistake saying this, but God, in Orthodoxy, there's an essence and energies distinction. And the essence of God is fully unknowable, but we know him through the energies. And I could point you into several discords if you want people who know much more about that than me to talk about.
All right. Thank you very much for this question from Even Lord. It says, reality is reality, bro. That is low T-chump tier. I don't know who that was to. Basil Problem says Wi-Fi. This guy's real sassy. You just gotta. It says Wi-Fi. Is your axiom system as strong as arithmetic? If so, how do you handle Gödel's incompleteness theorem?
Well, I fundamentally reject axioms. I don't think that an axiom is a thing. If we're talking about something that is unjustified, I believe you have to justify all of your claims.
You got it. Thank you very much for this question coming in from Even Lower. We got that one. Basil Problem strikes again. Real nasty guy. Says Wi-Fi. Supposedly you have access to non-human transcendental axioms about existence and reality. Can you apply these to solve the Riemann hypothesis? He always brings up his like weird jargon from his own field to try to like big man other people. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I have the same access that we all do. Other than if you don't read God's word and participate in his church.
Hi Bear says Danny is really fun to watch. Wow, Danny, you got a fan out there. This one from Maryland says, we all God. They say you're both idol worshippers of everything. But what is worth to God? Us, the image of God.
That was all Maryland?
Agree or disagree?
Is that all Maryland?
Yes.
Yeah. I think we're all going to meet Maryland very soon. I don't know if you knew that, James.
It's possible.
Maryland, it'll be nice to meet you. I don't
Hi,
even know what she said.
Manga Fan Dan says, how do you know consciousness isn't streamed into us?
I mean, that's a weird word. Is that pointed at anybody directly?
I think it's toward you. The idea of you kind of made it seem almost as if like consciousness might be like an independent entity rather than like a continuing stream being kind of moved through us. I think
Oh,
that's
is
your
that like
point.
a Buddhist or Hindu type of thing? I don't know. Uh, Consciousness being streamed through us. I guess like participating in God's energies could be similar to that, but I'm not sure I fully understand.
This one coming in from Manga Fan. We got that. An honest doubter says the description is not the described, quote unquote, and says, what are your guys' thoughts on this statement? If you don't have thoughts on it, it's okay.
I think this was back to when me and Danny were talking about the laws of logic. So the referent is not the same as the reference. So like when you say like kind of like with the water thing, remember Danny was like meaning and substance? That makes sense.
I have
So
no
like
comment. I don't know what to say to that.
okay.
So maybe I misheard what you or he said.
Basil Problem says, Wi-Fi, please describe the logical framework used by Euclid in his Elements.
Yeah, so I wasn't talking about specific logical systems. And I would make the argument that all logical systems fundamentally at the system level rely on classic logic like the law of non-contradiction.
This one from Giovanni JD. Oh, here we go. So, yeah, I'm gonna read it. I'm sitting in this. They say Danny is pedantic and annoying, but he's just dunking on this sub 90 IQ dude. Get offline. Lose weight. Stop being an online Christian. You shame our Lord terribly.
I do need to lose weight. I'm trying not to go on Ozempic.
Wait, did he?
That I'm too okay.
I think he hated both of us, so we can just skip him.
What a nasty guy. I don't understand. How are these people this angry? Basil
Get
Problem.
more angry and send more super chats. That's all I have to say.
They say Wi-Fi, why isn't Anselm's ontological argument true? Why don't you just rely on that?
Yeah, to be fair, I don't know. I've never dived deep into if you were to classify it as like evidential arguments for God, because I've been so heavy on the precept side of things. I mean, it very well could be a good argument. I use the precept argument. I think it's a good argument. There are other people who use the ontological argument, probably on this channel.
This one from Basil Problem says Wi-Fi, why isn't Anselm's ontological argument true? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm a moron. Swifter says, this is a hilarious debate. It's hard to find a precept willing to debate someone informed in a controlled setting. Oh, okay, very sincere. Okay, they say it shows how silly these guys are. Oh, okay, never mind. Went the other way
Swifter
on
is
that
like,
one.
what's the opposite of a super fan? A super hater?
Super hater. Which I'm amazed, folks. Just a quick aside. Follow our Facebook page. I'm pinning it now. Here's why though. It has something to do with this. Isn't just me spamming you. Our Facebook has so we have an old Facebook and it's just filled with haters. Like I'm not joking. They will commonly be like both debaters suck. Like or like a recent short or reel on Facebook it's called. They go, oh, some moron arguing that there is a God, some moron arguing there isn't, and a bunch of morons who paid to watch it live in person because it was at one of our conferences. And I'm just like, who are these people that are this miserable? But you guys have haters, I'm sure. You get it. I don't know. But I'm
I'm
amazed
not.
anyway.
Yeah, I'm not popular enough to have haters, but some people like Swifter have followed me around all over the internet, leaving literally hundreds of comments on everything. I just had to get rid of them. But I mean, we probably could have a beer in real life and have a good time. I don't know. Some people get fascinated with certain things.
I don't know. Basil Problem says Wi Fi, you use lean or COQ for your formal proof language. You
I
know,
don't even know what those are.
he's again trying to big man you with his jargon. Giovanni JD says Danny dog walking sub 90 IQ heretic, just awful. Jeez. Okay.
Ow.
I have to act it out though. Okay. Basal
Yeah, yeah,
problem says
absolutely.
Wi-Fi. I believe you are a figment of my imagination. Please disprove this using formal methods.
Disprove that I'm a figment of your imagination.
That's
Um,
right.
yeah, I mean, it would just ultimately go back to the Christian worldview being true, and that people are not figments of your imagination, but actually uh, other beings made in the image of God who deserve honor and respect and have moral value.
You got it. This one from Straight Shot says to the wow, I've never heard this. It's a combination of Christian and retard. They say, what tree did Adam and Eve eat from in the garden?
He, I'm sure he has a follow up question or something. Everybody knows that, right? True, the knowledge of good and evil.
Wow. This one from Danny. Why are there are no super chats for you? All there was just a backhanded insult. Even Lord says, Dr. Coons, do you feel it was a missed opportunity when the LA Raiders were bought by the Las Vegas and not renaming the team to the Banditos to fit Las Vegas? That's funny. Although I will say, Las Vegas has. Sometimes I look around and I just get the word decay comes to mind. Some of it's run down. Basil Problem says to Wi-Fi, you are an expert on proofs and logic. Please prove that the number of prime numbers is infinite.
Yeah, I'm definitely not an expert on proofs. I know that was sarcastic. But I'm not like I don't have a philosophy degree. I'm not super philosophical. I've studied a ton of this certain type of argumentation and a bit of epistemology.
He's don't even give him any sort of he
Well, this
always
is why you
does
have me back for the hate chats.
yes, exactly. Big League Drew says, I am a soy boy. Thank you for that. That's really what he said. He said, what is in this Soylent green? Danny Philtog, do you like Soylent?
Do I like soy? Is
Yeah,
what the
or
question?
Soylent?
I like soy sauce.
Well, I like soy sauce too. Big League Drew says, what is consciousness and where does it come from?
What is conscience? Is that Danny? Danny, you want to take
I
a shot?
mean, it's a difficult question. I don't really think I have a very satisfactory answer. I'm not a physicalist, nor am I a dualist. I think that those sorts of divisions are actually are very unclear. So if someone really wants to know, they would have to give me the distinction pretty clearly, and then ask.
An honest doubter says, Danny, oh, look, have you read I don't know how to pronounce this. It's Pyrhonists, Pyranus.
Oh, Peronian okay, yeah, okay.
Say,
Is it
what are
about
your
Peronian
thoughts?
skepticism or?
They say, what are your thoughts about the Pyranus? Pyrrhonius.
Yeah, I mean, they're just incredible, like max skeptics. Like knowledge is not a thing, period. Like it's just like nothing, no knowledge in any way, right? I'm not a Peronian skeptic. Think I might be missing. It has to do with an extreme form of skepticism. I might be missing one of the descriptions of it, but that's how I understand it. It's at least a form of skepticism. But I have no thoughts. I'm not that kind of skeptic.
Giovanni says, Danny is a 110 IQ atheist, and he's absolutely butchering the Christian, though. Whoa! Just insane, this. Oh, heavy guy puts himself out there for Jesus Christ. That's where I'm like, is this really a Christian? No offense, Danny, or to the atheists out there. But I mean, you got to be fair. In conversations, you sometimes hear people say, "It's not very Christian of you," but you never hear like if they're mean, you don't ever you really hear them say like, "It's not very atheist of you." Like atheists, like anything goes. It's the Wild West. Christians are like you kind of have some expectation of like, aren't you going to be a little more Christian than that? They say scandalizing thousands. Pure shame on you, heavy guy.
Yeah, I guess
I
it's good to think about atheism as a denial of another view, which is why we're all over the place. So,
I my favorite troll comment to leave. I don't troll often, but it is fun sometimes. I think we all do it a little bit. My favorite troll comment is As an atheist, this Christian won.
I've wondered about that because I do see a lot where it's like, yeah. And either side, I'm not trying to say that one side does it more than the other. I think I triggered someone in chat with that. I'm not trying to pick on the atheists. I've got good friends who are atheists and they're kind and warm and I'm grateful for them. And Chrome Sav says, infinite regress is this what God made? I
I'm
think
not
they're
going to say
saying,
about that.
Well, is this what God made?
I don't know if they're asking like, is there an origin of the universe or does it just go back eternally?
That was the whole super chat? Was that?
Yeah.
Or did I miss the? Yeah,
The
yeah. God made everything.
This one, well, they were saying like, is it an infinite regress backward though, or is there maybe a start to it all, like creation?
Yeah, there's a start. The start is God. I mean, if you want to say God, like there's no start to God. If that's what he's getting at. But God didn't make God.
Basal problem. Wow, basal problem. Another nasty guy. He says Wi-Fi. Humans with a BMI over 25 do not know truth. Premise two. Wi-Fi's BMI is over 25. Therefore, Wi-Fi does not know truth. Am I using logic? Wow. Give you a chance
Can
to
I
respond,
do
Wi-Fi.
you ever think about hosting like physical challenges? Not fighting or anything, just I mean, I would do that too, but like I will race. You'd be surprised how fast a big dude like me can move. We could do some races, some bench press competitions. But you're
Basil's
right,
a
I do.
Yeah, well,
Basil's
just for the record, I condemn those insults. I condemn.
Hazel's like a
It's
miserable.
fun.
You guys, let this be a teaching example, though, that like if you're doing super chats like that, you might be in a state of your life where like things are really dark, and like Basil, start counting the things you're thankful for, and you won't be so miserable, because even just a nice day of sunshine, or it's like today was a really enjoyable debate. Like it's like, hey, this is fun to listen to. Basil problem comes back again. Wow. This guy is just, he says, Wi-Fi, congrats for the profound deepity. Reason must rationalize itself. This one
Try
from
and do it.
Bigly Drew says, water is wet. Thank you, Bigly Drew. Marilyn says, truth has no agenda. Any thought that does not inspire hope is rooted in a lie. You'll never have authority. I'll read it in her voice. You'll never have authority over what you do not love. Thank you for that, Marilyn. Basil Problem says, I wonder if this is what the Socratic debates sounded like.
Probably quite different.
This one, yeah, because they were speaking in Greek.
Yeah.
Hunter says, see how fun debates are once we get past pre-sup. This one from Jupiter Darman says, is there no evil in heaven? Premise two, is there free will in heaven? If your answer to both is yes, then free will is perfectly compatible with no evil. They say QED, which I don't know. I think that's some sort of young person slang. What does that mean, Danny? QED, all caps.
I've heard
I
that
used to
before.
know. Wait, I mean, I've seen the acronym before, but I forgot. Was the repeat the question? Maybe in context again.
Which was to be demonstrated. It's a Latin abbreviation.
Really?
I forgot. I'm sorry.
Quad erat demonstrandum.
Oh no, I didn't know that at all. No.
Either I've heard QED, but
Mm-mm.
But they're saying, hey, Wi-Fi, you're in trouble. They're saying Wi-Fi, basically, they're saying Wi-Fi free will is compatible with there being no evil. Like you could have a world in which there's no evil and you still have free will. Because think about heaven. Like, isn't that the place where you have free will and there's no evil? Do you get that?
yes, but and the this is again. Listen, I was a Calvinist for 10 years. Calvinists do not have good answers for this. Sorry, all my Calvinist friends. So unlearning Calvinism and learning Orthodoxy is going to be a long journey for me. But this is why I've been inquiring into Orthodoxy because their answers to these things are much better. But it's because of the process which we go through why we don't commit evil in heaven. So it's not just like It's not the same state that we started in the garden.
You got it. This one from, do appreciate it. True Vine said, justify purpose in laws of logic within atheist standards without source of purpose, question mark. Let me read this again. They say, justify purpose in laws of logic within atheist standards without source of purpose. Objectivity. How are laws of logic justified when there is no purpose in random chance? How is reason objective?
Yeah, so I presumably that's a question for me. Um, I don't know why people, I guess apologists have been somewhat successful in getting people to believe that atheists think that everything is random or there's no objectivity, there's no standards, right? Atheism is simply a denial of a view. It's not a substantive worldview. There are all sorts of views that are compatible with atheism, which includes things like moral realism, natural teleology, thinking that there's purposes independent of humans and human society. There are also, subjectivism and non-cognitivism and thinking that, maybe morality is just after effects of attitudes or whatever. That's compatible with atheism. The point is that to say under atheism justify objectivity is almost like saying, well, as a person with brown hair, how do you justify moral objectivity? Well, what does having brown hair have anything to do with that? In the same way, what does atheism have anything to do with the debate between moral realist and anti-realist? That's how I look at the issue.
Basil Problem says, Danny, great job. Way to for to force the logical quote unquote arguments and give no ground. Wow, you got a fan.
Nice.
Hurrah Hacks says, I experience my own conscious thoughts. This first person awareness gives me the justified true belief of the existence of my own mind. No God needed. Wi-Fi.
Say that one again. Sorry.
You say, I experience my own conscious thoughts. This first person awareness gives me the justified true belief of the existence of my own mind. No God needed. Wi-Fi.
Yeah, and so maybe this is a failure on my part, or I've seen many other presuppositionalists make this argument, and I didn't quite understand it until I read the Reason for Reason paper by Father Deacon Ananias. But the argument isn't that you don't have justified true belief on the first order. The argument is, how can you justify the statement that knowledge is possible? And it goes back to, you have to make a second order claim in order to do so, which assumes the first, uh, which is what you're trying to prove anyway. And this is a circle.
C says, Danny, can you summarize how Wi-Fi lost? W, Danny.
Well, in my opinion, there were two parts of the open discussion. There was what sorts of reasons did Wi-Fi give for why an atheist should be committed to the thing, in virtue of their atheism, that they're committed to the saying that there's no knowledge or knowledge is impossible or something along the lines of that. I saw no sound argument. I saw a lot of question begging arguments. I saw a lot of at least three or four arguments where I just don't see why I should accept one of the premises. And so, yeah, that it's a fair question to ask. Why should I accept that premise? And I really didn't get any good answers, in my opinion. The second part, I ran the problem of evil. Um, it didn't look like he engaged. It looks like he hasn't had a lot of experience responding to that form of the problem of evil, so he had to kind of think on the fly. So, there's a bit of a pass on that, but I didn't really see any good responses. At some point, he said that God desires evil. At some point, it seems like God can prevent every bit of assault or sort of evil events because by stopping someone from doing something evil, that's not taking away their free will. So I don't think the free will theodicy really goes very far there. And then he also, I mean, I don't want to say there's a last part, but he might amend that. But there's a tension with thinking that God can do sinful actions. But looks like he might revise his view about that in the future. But that's my analysis of the open discussion.
Yeah,
Wi-Fi, and I
just to,
guess you disagree.
well, I disagree with the first part. The second part, I definitely, like I said, I was a Calvinist for 10 years. Calvinists would answer very differently than what I was trying to defend, which is why I've been asked a couple times to debate the problem of evil. And that's not, one, like Danny said, I don't have a bunch of experience in it. And I was just trying to be fair in the debate. Maybe for optics, I should have just been an a-hole and said, no, I'm not going there. But whatever. I or get if I would love to see Danny debate an Orthodox apologist on the problem of evil. I think Orthodoxy provides the best answer in that case.
You got it. This one from Pseudonym says, for both, is a hot dog a sandwich or not? Figure I'd ask because you both think you won a debate that was barely on topic. Wow. Okay, so they were being facetious. You don't have to answer if it's a sandwich.
I
Do
think
you
all
know?
of it was pretty on topic. I just think we got into the depths where people may not have made the connection. You think that's fair, Danny?
Yeah, I think we were 95% on topic.
This one from Gino Biscotti says, what's both your opinions on near-death experiences and their commonalities between them all?
I'll go first if you want. I think that many near-death experiences are probably not entirely true. I think many of them, because there's a pipeline from near-death experience to best-selling New York Times book. Um, but I do think there are some real experiences, and people have come out of those experiences with faith in Christ, and I wouldn't discount those. But yeah,
Yeah, I don't want to
Jamie?
take away from people's experiences. I just don't think that I don't think you should jump to, oh, what could that be? Therefore, God. Not saying that Wi-Fi has proposed that. I just people really love to explain things, and sometimes we jump the gun on the explanation, and that's how I see a lot of that.
You got it. Let me just check for any last questions. Folks, you can see the bottom right of your screen, DebateCon 6 next month. You don't want to miss it. Tickets are linked in the description box. You can use this promo code. I'm totally serious. It's about 24 hours left that this promo code of 25 live will still work. For real, as you can see on the bottom right of your screen now, I'm fixing it so it doesn't say 72 hours. I meant to fix that yesterday. It's about 24 hours left. You can use that code. As an example, the base ticket is $239.99, so about $240. With 25% off, that turns into $180. So very real savings. That's less than my flight to the venue. I booked a cheap flight. It was like $50 on Spirit. So basically, you can use that difference to cover one of your flights. Voila! What a trick. We want to see you out there at DebateCon. Meet your favorite debaters. With that, gentlemen, this has been a tremendous debate. People really enjoyed this. Like we had a great audience here tonight. Thank you guys for being here.
And thanks for
thank you,
having me.
James.
My pleasure. Guys, check out, folks, you're watching at home, check out Wi-Fi Gospel and Danny Phil Talk. Their links are hyperlinked in the title if you're really lazy. Or you can take the long way, go to the description box. You can find their links there. Even if you disagree with them, you're like, oh, that Danny just grinds my gears. I just want to take his head and just. Even if you disagree with them, there's value in hearing their arguments straight from them. Because that way, you're not hearing like what someone says they say, where it sometimes is kind of watered down. It might not be the strongest version. You get it right from them. We have last minute question. Pseudonym 8344 says Wi-Fi. Your premise: atheists don't have knowledge. If Danny has one piece of knowledge that he knows he exists, that he knows he does exist, does it debunk your argument and God doesn't exist?
Yeah, again, it wasn't my premise, but maybe somebody's seen one of my previous debates. In the very beginning, I would kind of argue like that, and it was just a misunderstanding of the actual argument.
You got it. This one from, do appreciate it. Last one, True Vine 305, appreciate it. Says, you answered my question of the purpose of the immaterial laws of logic with a material view of hair color. Please try to give and and a purpose for the immaterial objection.
I feel bad because he donated $10, but I really don't. The point, look, if you're asking me as an atheist, how do I understand these things? That's a different question than how do you understand these things? Okay. So how do I understand morality? Let's say, I'm amenable to moral anti-realism, right? I'm a moral anti-realist, actually. I'll just embrace it. Okay. But that has nothing to do with my atheism, right? I think moral realism is compatible with atheism. I didn't come to my conclusion about purpose, morality, knowledge. I didn't come. None of these are informed by the the denial of the existence of God. Okay, so if you're asking me, how do I understand our duties and values in general, then I'm a moral anti-realist. Okay, and I think there are issues with with realism. Okay, but that just is not linked to my denial of God's existence. Maybe there's a great argument out there for why I'm wrong and that moral realism is true. Fine, then I'll be a moral realist. But I'm still going to deny the existence of God. So to summarize, there's a difference between, as an atheist, how do you ground or how do you understand morality versus how do you understand morality? And I'm just pointing out that when I hear, as an atheist, how do you understand morality? It's like saying, as a person with brown hair, how do you understand morality?
So, because I would agree that like being an atheist doesn't make you a moral realist or a moral anti-realist, right? But to say, it seems weird to me to say that it doesn't inform your view on those things at all. Like not at all, you're saying?
Oh, you're talking to me? Yeah, no,
Yeah.
no. In fact, I was an anti-realist as a Christian, moral anti-realist as a Christian.
But that was informed by your Christianity, right?
No, no.
So you didn't take what God has to say or what the Christian worldview has to say about morality into your view of morality?
I don't think there's anything in the Christian worldview that implies moral realism.
Well, does it imply moral anti-realism?
No, neither.
Okay.
With that, I do want to say, folks, check out our guest links in the description box. Let me just check in case there were any. I do want to encourage you folks, even if you disagree with them, or if you agree with them and you're like, hey, I want to hear more, click on Wi-Fi Gospel and Danny Phil Talk links right now. With that, I'll be back in a moment letting you know about juicy upcoming stuff at Modern Day Debate. So stick around. Thank you very much one last time, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm not dying. Get out of here. Not dying. We're dancing in the street. There's nothing left to eat. We're on a winning streak. Going out in style.
Amazing, my dear friends. I am very excited that you're here. We are going to read off channel members' names because that is something we do appreciate you being a channel member. It really does go a long way. Please don't make me become a professor again. I love what I do here at Modern Day Debate. I just Marilyn, thanks for being a channel member. Basil Problem, thank you as well for being a channel member. J.D. Arman, am I saying it right? J. Darman, thanks for being a channel member. Big League Drew, thanks for being a channel member. Now, folks, if you didn't know, DebateCon 6, it will be streamed for those members at the final word tier of channel membership. Now, you might be thinking like, oh, it's like, how much is that? Like $50? No, it's $14.99. It is so affordable. Check out our channel memberships right now. We are 2 out of 3 for our goal of new memberships today. We can hit it right now. If you haven't yet become a member, now is the time to click that join button and become a member. Help support Modern Day Debate so that we can focus on putting out more debates. Otherwise, I have to go back to teaching, and then we have less debates because I have to grade a ton, which, don't get me wrong, I like teaching, but I like this more, to be honest. It's really fun running Modern Day Debate. Now, let's see. Big League Drew says, final word was $20 for me. There's no way that's true. I'm looking at it right now. It's $14.99. It must be because you were going on those websites I told you not to go. You had some sort of virus in your computer. But I do want to say thank you guys for all of your support. Now, we are going to, as I said, read the names of those members at that tier. So, current level, we're going to go to the debater and final word level. So those at the debater and final word level, those are the ones that we do the read off of their names. There's also the spectator level. I'll actually show you these. So if you look on tier, so as you can see at the very bottom there on the bottom left of the screen, it says watch DebateCon 6 stage debates live. So all of those debates that you're going to see popping up on the channel as members only, you can watch them live from home, just on your couch, enjoying popcorn or ice cream. Whatever you like, it's going to be epic. So if you're like, I don't have plans for November 15th or 16th, yes, you do. You're going to DebateCon, whether you're in person or whether you're watching it at home. Now, that's not all. Let me show you, because I'm excited about this, you guys. We revamped our memberships to make them a lot better. We used to have like 7 membership levels. It's like, why are we making it so complicated? Let's simplify and take all these perks and just smush them into 3 different tiers. So at the spectator level, this is $2.99 a month. Less than a cup of coffee, you guys. You can't find coffee anymore. Big League Drew says, I just checked my membership. It's $19.99. That's weird. I don't know. Anybody else, do a favor and click the join button and let me know what you see. Because for me, I see $14.99. I'm not sure why you saw $19.99. Unless it was like an old membership thing that carried over. But I don't know. Thank you for upgrading your membership. Adir Est Fasir 1882 upgraded to the final word. Thank you for your support. Enjoy watching DebateCon 6 from home. It's going to be amazing, you guys. Big League Drew says, I am being scammed. That's right. Help support the scam, Big League Drew. Help support the scam of yourself. He said, is it because I did it on my phone? I don't know. It's weird. Like, I honestly don't know. Let me check on my phone. Folks, if you have your YouTube, if obviously you're listening to the stream right now, so the join button must be there for you. Let me know if you click the join button. Do you guys see the final word tier as $14.99 or $19.99? Do let me know, because it's supposed to say $14.99. And I've got to tell you, I am excited though. You're going to love it. Adir Est Fasir. Being able to watch all those debates live from home, it's going to be epic. Tippy River 5930 says $14.99 for me. So, okay. Let me know what you guys see though. I'm going to click right now. I'm going to click join. And so this is going to be fun though. Because if you can't make it, like I understand some of you are like, dude, I'm in Australia. It's just not practical for me to be able to do that. Is you can watch those from home. And thanks for being our 3rd member of the day. My dear friends, I'm going to show you the rest of these memberships because, hey, now is the time to do it. And then if you, frankly, like if you're like, well, I don't know if I want to stay at that level like the whole time. Well, then just cancel it after the conference. So like, I'm not offended. For $14.99, getting to watch this entire conference is epic. Now, let's look at the spectator level. What are the perks? If you put in $2.99 a month, which we do appreciate that more than you know, is you get loyalty badges next to your name in the comments and the live chat. Amazing! But also the custom emojis so that you can call people in chat a soy boy. I'm going to put that little emoticon in the chat right now. Is you can call people a soy boy just like I put that soy boy emoticon in the chat. Jay Darman, thank you so much for your support. Sent 5 Modern Day Debate gift memberships. Thank you so much, Jay Darman. Seriously, it means more than you know. We are excited about this. Jay Darman, seriously, I appreciate it more than you know. Thank you so much for doing that. Big League Drew, and let's see. I always love seeing who gets the memberships. It's kind of cool to see Daniel Gruen, enjoy your free membership thanks to Jupiter Darman. And Greg S., enjoy your gift membership. Compliments of Jupiter Darman. Tippy River, enjoy your cool gift membership. compliments of Jupiter Darman, and Reedem and Lore at 1 in 3. Enjoy your complimentary gift memberships from Jupiter Darman. And thank you, Jupiter Darman. We are excited about it. And Matt League, thanks so much for upgrading your membership to the Final Word. We do appreciate that, Matt. You will not regret it. This conference, you guys, it's gonna be off the charts. Daniel Hikikachu versus Andrew Wilson. I'm like, oh my gosh, the roof is going to blow off. I'm excited for AP versus Javad on whether or not Christianity or Islam is more violent. It's going to be controversial. I'm pumped about that. Not only that, but Rachel Wilson will be debating Craig, Fight the Flat Earth, on. El Drosophila says, how did I get a cute little star? You got a gifted membership from Jupiter Darman. And Dan the Man Gruen did as well. I hope you enjoy that. Compliments of Jupiter Darman. He is the man. Thanks, Jupiter. I got to tell you guys, if you have seen these debates, like the roof is going to blow off. And then also, I had mentioned Rachel versus Craig on whether or not feminism is more good or bad for society. It's going to be epic. Very exciting debate. Now, the cool thing too is if you sign up at the spectator level, you get access to members only polls, photos, and status updates. So I will, for example, I shared a little photo from the coffee shop that I do my work at every day to say, hey, how's it going, folks? Like, this is my view right now, as I usually go to the coffee shop almost every day. And yeah. Now, check out, let's see here. We've got the spectator level. Actually, last but not least, immunity from chat slow mode. So if you have slow mode in the chat, it's kind of like, oh, you actually are immune to the slow mode feature. So you can just keep putting in as many messages as you want. And not only that, we have the debater level. So now this is the one that if you just got gifted a membership, this is actually what you got gifted. So it gifts it automatically at the debater level. So you get access to the members only videos. We have over 350 debates that are members only. It's epic. So you can watch those. Some of those are most controversial, most juicy. Some of them are the most kooky, like whether or not the Titanic actually sank, whether or not Bigfoot exists, but also the most controversial. Because we kind of have to, like, if they're really controversial, we don't want to have them accessible to the public, to be honest. There are also member shoutouts, which is what we're about to do right now. So you have your name shouted out, and I'm going to do that. So let me load this bad boy right here. Is where we basically go through the list and we say, hey, thank you so much for being a channel member. And as an example, 2 seconds. Here we go. Go. Toadman Alcatraz, thanks for being a member at the debater level, as well as Trigger Gaming, MC Natty, Desert Shadow, Josh Gardner, Agrilopolis, thank you, Jeff C, Kokomo, Big League Drew, amazing, Muddy 3, and Matt League and Evan Lundstrom. Hot Tuna, T, Yuck Fine, Gino Biscotti, as well as Mortem and Jordan Walsh. Plus, I Killed Earl, thank you. And Sheery. Plus, Tyshera Eubanks, thank you so much. Samuel Lindstrom, thank you very much. And Nick Mercer, as well as Fady Ibrahim, NetTube user, Basil Problem, nasty guy, Jen Ranch Girl, Nate P, Mr. Samuel Tawhid, Walk with the Spirit, thank you. Ryan, thank you very much. As well as Kat Johnson, Marilyn, Tony's Tech and Custom PCs, Peter Rosario, and Josh Latino. Thank you so much. Now, here, check out these other perks, though, at this debater level. So, very cool stuff is thank you so much for Tippy River. Sent a gift membership. Thanks so much for doing that, Tippy River. That was awesome of you. And Action Packed. I hope you enjoy your debater level membership from Tippy River. Now, you get access to new videos that are early. So whenever we do an Outnumbered video, we actually will put it on the channel as members only for just the first week or so. So you get access to those as well. And then members only live streams. So we will do a monthly, in fact, it's going to be a week from today. We're going to do a monthly live stream where we talk about updates on what's coming next for Modern Day Debate, all that juicy stuff. But I want to say, there's more. So if you're kind of like, hey, that's cool, let me show you this. If you are at the debater level, which you already are, thanks to those who have gifted those memberships, we do appreciate that. Jupiter, Darman, and Tippy River, thanks for gifting those. Is you're like, hey, I was like, okay, I'm kind of curious. What is it if I did do an upgrade? Because you can do an upgrade. So including those that are at the debater level, those new members that just got their gift memberships, is, hey, if you do the upgrade, you get the extra perk of your name on screen. Plus, you can share your thoughts at the Modern Day Debate monthly Zoom meeting. And huge, as you can see at the very bottom, you can watch all of DebateCon 6 stage debates live. So, hey, folks, if you just got gifted a membership, now you're only just $10 away from actually being able to watch DebateCon right there on your couch. So you could consider it like you got a discount. And Basil Problem says, you usually censor my super chats. No, I don't. You're on drugs. But yeah, thank you guys for all of your support. Big League Drew says there's a Zoom meeting. Yes, there is. We actually do a Zoom meeting where we talk about Modern Day Debate. It's basically like a planning meeting. So it's it's not like a debate or anything. It's basically all right, here we have DebateCon. How are we going to carry out meals? What kind of meals are we going to get for the people that got the Ultra VIP tickets, stuff like that. Said, what day is Zoom? It's actually Saturday, November 1st. And then we're actually going to do one the immediate week after that. So, but yeah, I am excited about this. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming up. You guys, I'm just pumped. Now I'm going to show you one other thing because I haven't really given this a ton of attention, but I do want to show it to you, is we have these perks. So if you haven't seen it, the crowd fund is basically a way that we raise some funds as a safety net for our events, because the truth is we never know how many tickets are going to sell. And that's a little bit it can be a little stressful because it's kind of well, we're putting in, it's close to $25,000 that is being spent on this upcoming conference. And every time we do these conferences, we're like, is this going to, are we actually going to make up that money and it not be a loss? Which we've very consistently broken even. But this is that's including the crowd funds, is if you want, you can give without a perk. So let me put that link for this crowd fund at the top of the chat. Is if you give without a perk, you're just saying hey, I just love DebateCon. I think it's cool you guys do it. Just hey, here's $5. Not worried about getting a perk. Let me show you the link for that right now. A signed photo. So that Indiegogo is linked in the description box right now. And another option is, hey, you can get your name in the post-debate credits, kind of like a mini sponsor. That's if you throw in $20. And then these prices, actually, we got to fix these prices. It's actually down to $50 now if you get the signed emblem page at the very top. And then you can get a signed photo of your favorite speaker. So, for example, you can see Andrew there is, let me see the perks. There we go. I'm going to move this just like this. Is you can get a signed photo of your favorite speaker. So there we go. That looks much better. Got to fix that. We basically just dropped the prices. So if you want, check that out. Because, for example, if you want a based signed photo of Andrew, I think those are currently at, I think it's $40. And that just, again, helps us put on this project as like I said, every time we're kind of like, we can't predict the future. We're just going for it. And then, as you can see at the top right, DebateCon 4, now it's DebateCon 6. And Greg Sandwich says this is a digital collection plate right now. Well, this is something that like people have the right to choose. And I mean, if you're gonna, like, nobody likes a negative person. Like, if you're so bothered by this, like, nobody wants a negative person around. So this is everybody's free choice. Like, if they want to support, cool. If they don't, cool too. We appreciate it either way. But we do want to mention it because a lot of people have partaken in this in the past, and so we do appreciate that. But got to tell you, not only do we have this Indiegogo, I want to give you one last thing that I want to run by you. Let's see. Basil Problem says, when will you invite the South American Max to a debate? Is he in South America? Wow. I should have to remember that for some reason. I don't know why. I keep thinking he's in Canada. But yeah, if you have not yet, I want to encourage you, check out our Facebook page. So we have a lot of haters on our Facebook page. Basically like this guy that's like, this is a digital collection plate. Want to encourage you, check it out. A lot of them are like, oh, that's just stupid. Like, this conference is stupid. And it's like, why are you here? Like, nobody wants a negative person around. Check out our Facebook page. We do appreciate it. Jay Darman, thank you so much for being here. Said, thanks for upgrading your membership to the debater level. Thanks so much, Jay Darman. We'd appreciate that more than you know. And I've got to tell you, you guys, we're excited about the future. This Facebook page, I'm confident that we can get this thing rocking and rolling quick. So it's just basically clips from Modern Day Debate, or reels as they're called on Facebook. So you can check that out right now. We are excited about the future. I really believe that us getting on college campuses is a major difference maker. We are going to continue to work with different people that have reached out. There are a lot, like, actually I'm like super encouraged that there are maybe 4 people that are like, hey, I would love to have a huge debate on our college campus. And I'm like, that is awesome. And then Jupiter Dharma says, well, I believe I just gifted the debater memberships. I'm not on that level. LOL. Time to upgrade. Thank you so much for upgrading. And thank you for gifting those to those others. But yeah, we do appreciate that. And now you're at the debater level yourself, which, by the way, the cool thing is, if you're at the debater level, you can get access to those 350 debates. So you can watch, for example, did the Titanic sink? I love those kooky debates. Like the ones like, those are actually one of my favorite topics, is like the kooky, like, is Bigfoot real? Is there something to alien abductions? Like, oh, I think those are fun. But yeah. Let's see. Dan the Man Gruen says, I also design engineering projects. That's cool. And, oh, my tab just crashed. But tell me, where are you guys listening from? Because I'm in Las Vegas right now. I'm curious to see like where everybody is tuning in from. Anybody in the Las Vegas area? In this, it was nice weather out today. Sunny. I have no complaints. Big League Drew says the Titanic has a strong argument. Not kooky at all. That's juicy. But yeah. Let's see here. Ian Rugi, thanks for coming by. I see you there in the live chat. True Tech 4158, glad that you are here. Even Basil Problem, we'll even say that. Thank you. And then, let's see, catching up here. Drosfio said that'd be an interesting discussion. Why are there no North American primates besides humans? That is juicy and interesting. Drosophila says, I wish Bigfoot existed. We don't have any North American primate besides the humankind. Let's see. Trying to catch up on some of these juicier topics. Ronnie 1191, thanks for being here. Glad that you are with us. And let's see, Mill or MLL 99999. Thank you for coming by. Glad that you made it. Ian Rugi, happy to have you here. Let's see. Let me see if I can catch up here. Time Lord 7378 is +1 San Francisco Bay Area. Hey, that's not too far. And then anybody? Let's see. Big League Drew says San Francisco Bay Area, baby. Wow. Huh. And that's it. Nobody else is disclosing their information. Remember the old ASL? Are you guys that old? But thanks, guys, for your support. Do appreciate it. Guys, keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable. Thanks for all of your support. And we will see you at the next one. And that's Tuesday, actually. So I plan on hosting that myself. It's going to be a big, beautiful debate. We're excited about the future. There are bright things to come, big things to come. A number of college campuses we're in talks with, whether it be student groups or even the campus itself. We believe that's the future, to a large degree, the future of modern day debate. So thank you guys for all your support, your love. You guys make this fun. I hope you have a great rest of your night.